maybe in the context of when we start talking about that topic, it won't even mean that much. Okay, so streaming looks good. Ace, I think your audio's been pretty on point, but just double check one more time.
Check. How does the audio sound? Is it loud enough?
Yeah, you're great. Ghost, how do you sound?
Test. Check.
Alright, that sounds cool. And then how do I sound? Is it clear enough, and is it the audio at a good volume?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let me just make this quick pause and we'll jump right into it. The Donald Elon Musk interview was actually pretty good too. But one could make the point that what was the reason? Okay. Whenever you have a second, make sure the thing looks. Okay. Yeah, make sure it's live and streaming and everything's good. Okay, I guess if we're straight, I will hit the record button. We'll jump right into it. Am I forgetting anything with the notes? What day is it? What time of year is it? All these things you just kind of blank when you're on the mic. Okay, recording in 3, 2. Okay. Hopefully this looks good. Yay. All right. Everybody look alive, just like Black Boy said. Where's my water? Damn, I guess I said all that, but I'm not even prepared. Anyway, we'll get to that. Anyway, welcome back, guys. Welcome back, everyone, to the Be Warned and Be Filled podcast. We're back. We don't have everyone here. But we have the guys, the family, the organization. We have Ace.
So,
We have Ghost.
Yo.
And we have myself, Quest Lando. Guys, how we all doing? How we all feeling?
pretty good.
Could be worse.
The catchphrase. I'm not feeling bad either. Bit sore. Been going hard in the gym per usual, but nothing to complain really about. At the time of recording, it's that early spring phase where it's a hell of a amount of rain. I feel as if it's raining damn near all over the country at this point, so no matter where you are, you might be experiencing it as well. But it still feels way better than that brisk snow that brisk winter that we've been dealing with. Even though it's thick, arguably it's been a mild winter. But we're not here to talk about weather. We're not weathermen. We're here to deep dive into some topics. But before we deep dive into any topics, per usual, after the podcast, or not even after, every week we do a music selection of the week. If you're in the interest of finding new music, finding new artists, we you can find that right here. In the description below, you can find a Spotify playlist to all of our songs, all of our music recommendations for this week. You feel free to check it out. And then after the podcast, you can also find a list of all the songs and artists there in the description below. You can also find the timestamps if you just want to kind of skip around to some of the topics that we'll cover this evening. You can find the specific timestamps jump around. Or if you just really want to watch a shorter, condensed version of our podcast and our topics after the podcast, if you look on the channel in the videos tab, you'll be able to find all our videos of all the various, and I mean various, topics that we've ever covered. So yeah, all good podcast stuff to know. And I think we actually don't even have any other not fluff, but there's no content recommendations outside of music, right? Nice. Okay.
Not for me.
I don't think so.
So we're gonna get right into the topics this week, and there's a few of them. I don't like the gas stuff ever, but I feel as if this is a nice broad group of topics to go over. Sometimes I kind of plan about how some of these conversations will go, even though it's kind of behind the scenes corny stuff, but I can imagine some of these conversations being quite interesting. So I gotta go here, and then I go here. There we go. Per usual, some of those names are not in the right order, but it's fine. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. Where are the names? Okay. There we go. I wonder why it always mess up y'all's but not mine's. There we go. Slight little edit. Okay, alright. So as usual, I want to start with something light. This is nothing too philosophical, nothing to really rack your brain around. I just saw this this clip that Shade Room posted. Shade Room of a cool little interaction between Drake and BenDaDonn. So it's BenDaDonn, one of the funniest folks on the internet right now. And you know, really, the caption really says it all. Normalizing girl compliments with my dogs. So let's hear the compliments that Drake wanted to show or give to his homeboy.
My baddie friend ate down.
No, the fuck he didn't.
You ate down?
No, the fuck I didn't. Bro, stop doing that. Bro,
Relax,
compliment me regular.
I'm just giving you a compliment, bro.
That's not them type.
It's regular.
My dog, I love you, bro.
Yeah.
Love.
You ate up though. You look like
No, didn't.
just giving mood board.
Ate down.
Ate down.
I want to start off by saying what's the problem, but I feel as if people already getting a little tensed up. Come on, we gotta loosen up. It's just compliments and listen. We all compliment each other from time to time. We all acknowledge that our homeboys and our homegirls and our friends and our companions are doing well in life. What's the problem? So salute to Drake. He just wants to give compliments to his homeboy, but there's a bit of resistance. He doesn't. He's like, whoa, which obviously we're gonna get into it, but some compliments are a bit sus. But it really just begs the question: if when I compliment somebody, I'm gonna get some pushback or some resistance. What are the rules and regulations, or should there be rules or regulations? So when you compliment, we'll say homeboys, but I guess we'll also kind of expand it to homegirls as well. What do we think goes? Is this like it's out of line? Like there's only some compliments that girls can give each other, and there's only some compliments guys can give each other. Is that what we're saying?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I don't know. In theory, there's nothing wrong with the compliments Drake was giving, but
Just
it's
to be
like,
clear, what did Drake say? Because I don't
he
know if
said
I follow.
he ate down.
What is that?
Oh my god.
Come on,
It's,
Ace,
oh
come on,
my
man.
god. I didn't bring. I see. I kind of feels what happened. Like, because you got, if you don't have some like young boy or young girl friends in your circle,
saying,
you
bro,
might not hear some of the lingo. But we can play it one more time. That's the only thing I can give you.
I think we're all old. Like,
I'm not. I've heard. I hear all this on a semi-regular. Like, I've heard all these things before.
I've never heard this one. I mean, I feel like I keep up for the most part, but
Do you
apparently
really?
not. Apparently
You-
not.
I've never heard this one at all. It's a new one.
Okay, well, I'm sure you heard the part where he said, "If you're giving rude boy."
Oh my god.
Rude boy. What's the problem with that?
Oh, there we
It's
go.
giving is
Progressive.
The giving.
Oh,
I'm
giving
gonna be honest, and we're still on you, Ghost, but like, when guys say it's giving, yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Again, it's like, I don't know why. There's not a great reason for it, but some compliments just come off as like effeminate and leave it for the woman. Like, all the certain subset of like certain phrases and stuff like that. It's giving all that shit. Her, like, it's
Ugh.
just
Sorry.
don't say
Sorry.
it to a dude. It's that simple. There's
So-
not a great reason for it, but
So if a guy compliments you like the way Drake was complimenting homeboy, are you gonna say anything, or are you gonna?
well,
Thanks, G. I
if
appreciate you.
I'm assuming you mean this is like a friend or something, but I might probably have the same reaction that this dude did, because it's weird. And if a random dude that I didn't know was giving me this compliment, I would think that he's gay, something like that. Looking at that's really why.
First of all, what does a compliment have to do with somebody's sexuality?
Again, it's an effeminate compliment that it's just like the way certain people talk, language they utilize. If you want to give off the impression that you're a certain way, or you for a certain vibe, then you use. It's not an accent, the language that you use. So it is what it is. I mean, I most certainly would not be interested. That's
So, yes, obviously we don't have to even state. Okay, so how do you compliment a guy if he's quote unquote looking? He's looking all right.
I would say you don't, because guys don't. I'm joking, but I don't know. Just say exactly what you just said. Look good, sharp.
She looked sharp in the 1950s. Looking sharp.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay, fair enough. How do you compliment a guy if you want to like acknowledge that he's doing well in life?
Typical. I see you trying to get like you, per usual.
I just feel that we're kind of limiting ourselves on how we can express our views,
Man,
but
there's a whole litany of compliments you can give. It's funny you say that when you would just roasted me for my choice, but it's a whole litany of compliments you can give. But
I
if
mean,
it's a specific,
okay. So if
feminine
you
thing.
want me to be clearer, what's the modern day way to express like love to another guy? But it's fine. What about you, Ace? What do you think of some of these compliments? Do you really think it insinuates certain masculine or feminine behavior, I suppose, or is it everything kosher?
yeah. To be honest, I don't think about it that deeply anymore. Like, I really do not.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, I used to be much more like judgmental towards stuff like this, and maybe even would have gotten like maybe not offended, but would not want to hear this type of stuff.
What do you
Coming
offended?
from a male,
How
coming from a male.
you get offended if somebody compliments you?
Yeah, I know it's kind of weird, um, but yeah, now like I wouldn't care. I would laugh it off, kind of just and kind of take the compliment. And I think I would never compliment somebody using this type of terminology. Like obviously, 8 down, I didn't even know it, but apparently, if it's something that would
Okay, well,
that's likely said by
well,
females or
just to
or What was
Okay,
the
go
other
ahead.
one? What was the other one he said?
It's giving.
It's giving. Yeah. I would never say stuff like that. But if another male said that to me, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Like,
I don't
I
want to
wouldn't.
focus too much on the terminology, but
Would you be happy if they continuously compliment you with that specific terminology, or would you just ignore it every time?
I mean, it wouldn't even necessarily be that I would be ignoring it. It's just that I would just laugh it off and continue to take it as a compliment.
fair enough. I don't want to focus too much on terminology, but if you heard somebody say you ate that, would you perceive that to be? Do you know what that means? Or you ate?
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah,
So we're
you
just
you wore that well. I mean, that's what my brain would interpret it as. I mean, that's what it means, right?
you're in the right ballpark. Listen, I don't want to focus too much on that. So it seems like if you don't really care, then I guess the we don't really got to get into what you deem as like acceptable compliments for. If you,
Also, I have been the one to dish out some of these compliments to you in particular, Quest. I mean, not compliments. Like,
Wait, hold on.
whoa! Hey, yo, what type of compliments are we talking about here?
like when I noticed that we're starting to get more buff working out.
Oh,
How
yeah,
did you
yeah.
say it?
Probably
Probably
just like
starting to
that.
get more buff. Yeah.
That's a normal thing to say.
No,
It's
no.
not
But I'm
about the
saying,
compliment.
Quest even for that, Quest kind of flinched it
Well,
off a little
obviously,
bit.
I'm putting sauce on it. So we're talking about a particular like the way of complimenting.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if you had said any of the stuff that Drake just said, I would have caught it in the moment because
Yeah.
even I'm acknowledging that like obviously there's just going to be a distinct difference between how men typically compliment and how women typically compliment. It just is what it is. There are some things that are like Ghost was saying more masculine, some things that are more feminine. Now, if you want to try to blur those lines, you gotta do that with the right people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just don't throw this out to random people for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, like I said, it's not much to really dig deep into. I'm sure there's always going to be a compliment that you hear that you're gonna think sus or hey yo, but obviously you gotta go based off. You also should always typically consider like the intention. But unless there's nothing else, and I don't perceive there to be anything else, we can move on to the next topic. Okay. Still relatively light, but some of this will kind of feed into some of the other topics that we have. But yeah, this is really just kind of really a straightforward question. There's really not even any need to give too much context beforehand. I don't know, age old question, but a question that a lot of people typically do think about because a lot of people on their grind are chasing some level of success, some place of stability, some place of like comfortability, and I guess that's what this kind of encompasses. But the question simply is, what does financially stable look like to you? What do you think, Ace? If someone just asked you this, what comes to your mind? What is that? What do you envision? What do you imagine? What does that look like to you? You are uber muted.
I think it's the thing where like you can take a hit or maybe a couple of hits, like a couple of expensive um unexpected like financial hits, like maybe
Well,
$2,000 or over, and
a couple of those?
yeah, probably a couple of them, and
Mm.
it doesn't really affect you at all. Like you can still keep going about your life or your day without having to worry about um your next round of bills or whatever. Like it doesn't affect you in that way. So yeah, and not I don't necessarily think of it in terms of when you say financially stable. I don't think of it in terms of um what you have. I just think of it in terms of like your income and whether you can weather some hard financial hardship without.
Hmm. That's interesting because I mean, from that sounds of it, you're saying it seems like you're kind of saying, if you have like the savings or like reserved resources, that if an emergency were to come on, you can take it and then you can still continue about your day to day. So is that kind of accurate? You attribute it more to like your savings or what you potentially have in reserves?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Your savings. I guess another good point though is it has to be replenishable in a pretty like in a relatively short amount of time. Like if you just have a lot saved up, but you're not making any money,
Mm-hmm.
or you're not making a decent amount of money at least, um, then if you do take those financial hardships, you're not going to have anything like to keep moving forward with. So
Okay.
your salary or whatever you're making over the year also plays into it.
Mm-hmm. And you're saying you definitely don't really attribute it to like some of the more tangible things you have. Like, do you count like owning opposed to renting, or like number of vehicles, or number of anything like that?
No, no, because it's not. Well, like to me, stability just means that like your whatever happens is not going to rock your life as it is, whatever your life looks like. Like
Mm-hmm.
if and then if you consider like possessions and your net wealth, then that's a different conversation. Like what would I
Mm-hmm.
consider a wealthy person or
I
something?
got you. Got you. Okay, so and that's another key thing to state out. Financially stable doesn't equate to wealthy for you. Got you. Got you. Fair enough. And then what about you, Ghost? If someone were to ask you what is financially stable look like to you, what does go comes to your mind?
Um, Honestly, I would just classify it as not being concerned or stressed at all in any way when you have or you're gonna make a purchase, you gotta pay a bill. It just if you can make it, or say if you have to make the payment, you can do it and you don't think twice about it. And that might seem simple, but it's constantly if you're always thinking about I want to buy this, but I might not be able to pay my electricity this month.
Jesus.
I want to buy some shoes, but would I have enough for rent?
I mean, don't
And
to some. Well, you should never be debating shoes or rent. Is it? Don't to some.
yeah, yeah, it's not really. It's obviously
Don't to.
everyone's choosing the rent over the shoes, but if you have to like
Well,
consider
some
it,
people aren't, but
fair enough. But if you have to consider it and it's like a genuine concern that you're thinking twice about something because specifically because you're just not sure if you'll have the money, you might have it, but if it crosses your mind and you're not quite sure, I think that in my opinion would classify you as not financially stable. Whereas on the flip side, if you can spend it and there's no qualms, there's no second guessing, you can do it easily, then I think that's you can consider yourself financially stable.
pardon me. Don't you think to some degree we all like kind of stress about bills from time to time? Like, maybe it's like when it's time to like pay a tax bill or like maybe not like routinely. But don't you think we all stress about bills at some point?
Um, I mean, stress is. I think it's kind of it depends on what you call stress because you can be unhappy about paying bills. Like, damn, the water bill was this much this month. Like, you can
Yeah,
be
stuff like that.
pissed about it. Like, damn, rent is how much and it's only going up. But it's different than like that. In my mind, that's not stress. That's just like it's kind of human nature.
Mm,
If you gotta pay bills, no, you're not gonna be happy about it. But you're
yeah.
not gonna think twice about your actual bank account. Like, am I gonna have enough for this? And that's in my mind. There is a distinction between that and actual stress. Like, it causes you concern and like second guessing, and it negatively affects your mind state for an extended period of time.
Mm,
Versus if you're not in that state, if you are financially stable, I should say, then again, you're gonna be pissed about it, but after you pay it, you're gonna move on out with your day, and it doesn't have any effect on you.
So it sounds like for you, it's along the lines of you're never ultra worried about your accounts depleting because you always have that money or you always have enough to take care of bills. So you're not stressed about having enough.
Yeah, just about security, and even if you were to lose your job, you have confidence either that you'll get another job or you're in a good enough state that you can continue living life and you don't have to worry about being on the street. Cause
Yeah, I would say that that's actually a really good metric. Like if you were to like have some times of hardship, which kind of goes along with what Ace was saying. Um, so I guess I don't like to fully lead in the comics, but it's kind of interesting. Y'all don't really put like fun or like the extra into the equation. It sounds like because like from what I've heard, I'm not even gonna put in on. I'm gonna load what I would think, but from what I heard, one of the good metrics of financially stable is when you can take multiple vacations throughout the year, or have like an outing like once or twice a week every week. Do y'all not load any of that in there?
To me, no, that doesn't really.
So financially
That
stable, I gotta be at home all the time.
it's not about like it's not about that. Like
I
you
can't
can
have
be.
hobbies. I can't have a life. Is what some
I
people
don't
would
think
say.
that should be the cutoff. Is if you can take a couple vacations every so often. It should be more about living a, I'll say, regular, normal, non-stressed life more so than pleasure.
I mean, you could kind of add it in that in the same way that we talked about being able to take hits like financial hits, that if you can take a somewhat expensive vacation or two and not worry about your bills, plus take the financial hits, that's like, even more stable. I mean, but I guess that's it. Like, you could say financially stable is one thing versus saying financially stable is a gradient. Like somebody can be more or less financially stable,
Oh
and
yeah,
like
yeah. That's a
more
good point to bring
financially
in.
stable would be the more hits you could take without, without going into the hardship type stuff
Yeah.
that Ghost was talking about.
Yeah, yeah, no, that absolutely positively makes sense. I guess for this conversation, we are just kind of talking about that baseline of what is the
Exactly.
baseline of financial stable. So yeah, all right. Um, and I guess that kind of answers the last thing I'm gonna say because since there is like some level of subjectivity with it and tiers to this, so to speak, I was gonna say when y'all think of financially stable, do y'all put a certain like stage in life to that? Like, is it a thing that's consistently moving, or if you were to think of financially stable, you also think financially stable if you have a significant other, or if you have kids included into that? What do you think, Ace? Like, are you thinking from an independent standpoint, or from like, oh, you and other people's standpoint?
I don't think the definition changes with more or less people in the consideration. I think it's just the amount to reach financial stability is
Ability.
going to change.
Gotcha. What about you, Ghost? Anything different, or are you on the same wave?
Yeah, I think Ace put it well. Pretty much agree. If you're if you're living by your, I don't say by yourself. If you have to be the provider in a sense, if it's for yourself, for family members, for your kids, whatever, then like Ace said, the amount would change. But I just don't think like if you're being supported by someone else, you can technically call yourself financially stable, even if you might be if you were living by your own. I think
Y'all didn't consider yourself financially stable when y'all were under your parents' roofs?
no, I'm
I
still
don't
not
think so.
financially.
Oh Jesus! I was gonna reserve. I was thinking about that when I first saw this up. But it's gonna. Well, we're all on a grind to some degree, so it doesn't even really matter. Although I don't know if a baddie would want to hear that. Well, I digress. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, fundamentally, I think we all generally are in line, or maybe have slightly different definition, but are aligned with some of the depictions of what financial stability looks like. Yeah, so that definitely gives me a good benchmark. I would say again, I just add that for no reason. I think a lot of people would include like they can afford some lavishness in life, but again, that's depending on your view of the matter. And if there's nothing else, kind of moving on to our next topic. Yes. Well, in the States and around the world, people are, dealing, striving for, financial stability in different ways and, doing different things. One of the things that they apparently found is this interesting study. So the Hollywood Unlocked with Jason Lee. New study shows that 42% of couples keep financial secrets, raising questions about trust. So, in today's financial landscape, concealing spending habits from a partner is more common than many think. In a revealing survey conducted by Bankrate, so that's conducted survey, has revealed that 42% of couples have admitted they're keeping, and that's the ones admitting to keep it financial secrets from their significant other, indicating that this trend is on the rise. The issue of financial dishonesty, often termed as financial infidelity, poses a severe threat to relationships, with monetary disagreements being a leading cause of divorces. This is true. Despite the risk, some couples engage in this deceptive practice. According to Fox 26, social media platforms are filled with humorous content showcasing individuals going at great lengths to hiding their spending, especially from online purchases. Milka Medea humorously notes a typical scenario of individuals concealing Amazon packages to prevent their partner from discovering the extent of their expenditures. Oh my God. Can you imagine?
Nope.
You see every day you see the Amazon truck parked by your door, but no new packages are coming in. Like,
Nasty work.
what's going on here? But obviously this is something that's happening for a reason. So even though it sounds silly, I'm kind of interested to know what y'all think of this. And could y'all think about this? Because I do got some questions. Think about this. Do y'all believe that there would ever be a reason to keep your financial information to yourself, or do you believe that you should typically always be transparent?
I'm just gonna say real quick, I wish Wes was on the pod right now.
To the West. And I was gonna say, while it's obviously this is obviously in the confines of couples, I think it's somewhat relevant to how financially transparent or not transparent you are when it comes to like partner or friends, parents, other people in your life that you might be tied to some degree financially. If that changes the perspective in any case. But we'll start with you, Gus. What do you think?
I think there's plenty of good reasons, but if those good reasons outweigh the trust you have in your partner, and because of that you're not willing to share with them, then you shouldn't be marrying them.
Well, let's start with that. What are the good reasons, quote unquote?
I mean, just I guess if you were just living with somebody, not married, and just friends or whatever, and you knew that they had irresponsible spending habits, they like to gamble a lot, or they like to splurge on foods and not responsible with their money, and you feel like if, let's say, I get it, this fake scenario I'm making up, let's say that you live with this person, you share the bank account, And if you deposit your money
Sharing a
in that
bank account
bank
with somebody
account,
has a gambling problem is crazy.
yeah, which is again, it's a good reason why a lot of people don't have that trust because again, like you said, someone could gamble that money away in a split second, and that would be one of the reasons why you don't want to let them know. Another one is just like a rainy day fund. If you're with that, if you have that account with a person and you think that other person saw that there's $10,000 in the account versus 5,000, they might be more inclined to be more reckless with their purchases. And with that in mind, you're like, okay, I don't want to have to
So
deal
you
with this. So
so
I'm
you gotta
gonna
sneak the money
set
so somebody doesn't spend all the money in the account.
yeah, that's. I mean, again, I'm not necessarily advocating for these practices, but that'd be one of the reasons why you might want to keep like a little side account, or if you are getting flat because of all the packages that are coming in from Amazon, and you're like, oh, you ordered something else, then you might want to not have to deal with any pushback. So you want to like the hide the Amazon packages or do whatever.
What?
There's like a lot of small reasons. Some
How
of them
about
big
just not
others.
buy the Amazon packages?
That's the thing. You don't want to stop, which is why people want to hide their practices.
That's just
But
crazy.
I mean, again, it really boils down to in that fake scenario I painted. You're not married to the person, so you don't really have a requirement to be open with them and to have a certain level of trust with them. So you go through these steps. But once you enter that stage of marriage, you have to be able to trust them. Have to.
Marriage is when you be completely honest about the financials.
I'm not necessarily saying that be dishonest about it until you get married. I'm just saying that there's a distinction, and if you are married, and I don't know when the stage is where you combine accounts or you let the person know situation.
So you do combine accounts at some point.
I don't know. It's up to you. It's the specifics don't really matter. It's just about the honesty. You don't have to have a shared account, but as long as they know more or less what the situation is, then that's what matters most. And if you can't if you can't trust the person, that person can't trust you with that knowledge for whatever reasons, big or small, then that's a problem.
You believe in trusting a person 100%?
Uh I believe yes. I believe you should try to trust a person 100%.
Try. What is this try? Do you trust them or not?
I
100%.
say try because you can start out trusting a person 100% and then they might do some things to betray that trust
Well, would you
and
do something that is indicative of 100% trust?
um I'm not quite
Like,
sure what you
like,
mean.
would you in your not pursuit, but in your trusting somebody 100%, would you give up all the accounts? Would you give up your pay statements? Would you give up your tax information? Would you give them access to every and
Oh,
any asset, not asset, but any access to assets that you have?
well, I mean, I don't know if I'd be getting with the tax statements unless I'm marrying an IRS agent, but
What you?
yeah, in theory, yes. If they want to know something, or they should know it. Like they should at the start. If you're married to this person, you shouldn't have any qualms about letting them know you got a secret nest egg stashed aside. That oh, you're in debt for this amount. There shouldn't be again. It should be 100% trust, and that's not really feasible because there's going to be some things that for whatever reason you don't 100% trust your partner with, and it could be something that they're trying to gain your trust back because it's something they might have did to lose it, or you're just trying to be more open. But it should never be you go into a relationship having a specific set of secrets and then or marriage I should say, and then over time you unlock them, I don't agree with. I think it should be open all the way, which is hard to do. But if you're not willing to do that, then you might want to hold off a marriage until you are. So that's the
Got you,
way I
got
look at it.
you. And one thing I was gonna ask you, and none of these are I'm trying to get you. These are, if y'all ever think I am, trust me, I'm not. Well, maybe I am. But do you believe in and I know the government tends to think it, but do you fully believe in like what's mine is what's theirs, or is there anything that you believe in holding for yourself?
Money wise, I'm assuming you mean, yeah, I do. I do agree that, or I do think that if what's mine is theirs, what's theirs is mine, should really be shared, and it shouldn't be done in an exploitative way where oh, because I make more than you, and you don't make as much as me, then as a trade off, then I have to pay for it. I don't think it should really be like a transactional thing. It should just be, again, more about trust, and the willingness is
Mm,
there, even if the execution isn't always like you
I'm
don't
not
always
sure.
pay.
I'm not sure if I get all that. What was the point you're getting into by what if one person makes more than
Uh, I don't think it should be a. I said I don't think it should be a transactional thing. So there's going to be some pay discrepancy in a relationship, but I don't think that should lead into a mindset of because one person makes more than the other and what's mine is yours, then they should have to buy everything for you until you hit the threshold or the difference that you guys make, and then you start buying stuff for yourself. I think it,
Oh, okay, I see
yeah,
what you're
I
saying.
don't think it
Okay.
should be like a mindset like that. It should be, in theory, like if you wanted to, yeah, you could spend all your partner's money. Not that you should, but for whatever reason, emergency popped up, then the option is there.
Okay. All right. And okay, yeah, that would make sense to me. Um, I do kind of want to ask some of these questions about like when, but like some of these things, even I would never try to prescribe people that they should like this specific, like at this point is when you give your Cinderella your credit card. At this point is when you give your tax information. So I'll try not to get into any of that. What? How about you, Ace? What do you think of this startling? Maybe not startling. What do you think about this study? And do you think there's ever a good or legitimate, valid, or whatever you want to say, reason to withhold information about financial endeavors or just finances in general?
I think for the most part, I agree with Ghost in that, like, outside of marriage, there's definitely valid reasons not to not to share like your full, financial situation with somebody. And like the gambling example was very good where if they were made aware and they have a gambling problem, um that it kind of puts them it kind of like, I don't want to say it puts them at a disadvantage, but it's like, somebody has a lust or whatever, a temptation that they're going through. The ideal thing is to for them to be able to remove themselves from that situation so they don't have to um so they so they don't have to like be constantly inundated with that, with that lust. And over time, Lord, hopefully they'll be able to um overcome it to the point where if they are in the presence of it, they they're able to abstain from partaking.
Hmm.
So yeah, with a gambling addiction, withholding that information from somebody, I think can be considered to be a helpful thing in that case. And I also I
Wait,
would
withhold the
oh, go ahead.
gambling addiction?
No, withhold information about your
Oh, from somebody that
finances from
has
them.
a. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry. I was
yeah,
like,
yeah. So, but I think I would also extend that to marriage. Like somebody could, because people have a myriad number of issues, and get into relationships. And I'm not gonna necessarily say that if a person has a gambling addiction, that means they shouldn't get married. So if I can say that, then I
You
would
wouldn't say
also
that? I don't want to get into a
no.
conversation about gambling, but if you have really the better off of any addiction, you shouldn't be pursuing a relationship, but especially a
Well, no,
gambling
no,
one.
I shouldn't say like if they struggle with that addiction, whereas it's maybe something that they had problems with in the past, and they've recovered from it, quote
Okay, if they
unquote, but still,
recovered it or
yeah,
and or
yeah, yeah,
extensively working through it.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, not just if you're
Um,
in the midst of it.
yeah, right, right. Um, so then, yeah, so if that person gets married, like, I think there could be a legitimate, or I think the partner, who doesn't have the addiction could legitimately, you know, withhold certain information about the finances and it not be a bad thing, but it would have to be in a way where it's still like, it's still understood that that's why they're doing it, and not just
So you
I'm
tell them I have
hiding
an
it.
ac- so you tell them I have an account that you can't touch for this reason.
Yeah, pretty much like a
Yeah, that
very
conversation is
realistic.
gonna go real smooth.
I mean, maybe not. If it doesn't go smooth, if it doesn't go smooth, I feel like this is something like you would want to try to work out before the marriage. But
Well,
and if it didn't go smooth, um you probably wouldn't pursue the marriage. But
for, so,
that go ahead.
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm just to play devil's advocate. If I was in the position of the significant other here and you just told me, hey, there's an account that I don't want you to touch at all for whatever reason,
Mhm.
I would be asking, or I would think the significant other would ask, why not? Don't you trust me?
No, I mean the person would and
What?
Yo,
That's the
you
response?
saying no,
can you
they
guys
won't,
chill
you won't
out?
trust them?
Can you guys chill out for
You said it. You said the
You had
answer.
a very
You
exclamatory
said
no.
you said the answer. Now we got you
You
out.
said no.
No, I'm saying no because you guys are
Oh,
making it sound like
sorry.
this is crazy. The person knows they have a gambling addiction. So like this is something that they would have explained to their partner.
Oh,
So
sorry.
if
So
the
you're saying it
partner,
specifically in content in relation to the gambling issue. If
yes.
there was a specific, okay, I'm thinking you just okay.
I don't know if I'm letting you get by that quick. Like we're talking about humans at the end of the day. You're not like it's not just gonna be like that smooth. A person is has their struggles or the things that they deal with, but they're also 100% conscious enough to know that like their partner is going to reserve themselves in some ways. People are this absolutely like go the situation that goes just talked about is not unfathomable where someone could have their issues, but once you present a scenario of something you're doing to keep yourself safe from that person, they're going to respond with, "So you don't trust me? So why are you with me?"
No, but the way I'm proposing it is not in a way of you're you're telling them something that you're doing is something that you're establishing for the relationship going into it. So like that person just told me I have this gambling addiction. I'm working. I mean, I've worked through it. It's still something I kind of struggle with, but I'm trying to work through it, so it's not something that I struggle with anymore. And I think it would be wise to. I mean, not necessarily. It's not necessarily like this is the only solution that you would. Okay, this is the solution. Since you had a gambling addiction, I'm gonna have a separate bank account, but it may be something to consider. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, are there valid situations where having some type of having a partner having a lack of knowledge about the full financial situation is could be an okay thing. I think it could, and this is a situation where it could potentially work. But I mean, you are right. You're 100% right. There's maybe the majority of people wouldn't agree with it, but I think if it could be where the two people were on the same page about it, and like, I have this addiction that I've struggled with in the past. It's something that I'm still trying to go through, but it does kind of make sense that in order for me to just not even put myself in the situation where I'm gonna struggle with that temptation again, we just okay, I know there's an account. I know it's being used for whatever, either if it's a savings account or it's something that we use for the mortgage or whatever. I don't I don't touch that account. I don't look at the account. My partner's handling that account. I don't think that's necessarily out of the realm of feasibility, and I think it could be a good thing. But and there would still be a trust there, where it's like the person with the addiction would have, I mean, or recovering from the addiction, there would still be a level of trust for their partner, and it would be like a fully open line of communication, even though all of the information isn't there. It's like still something they both established together. So I
Mm.
think in that way it could still be a solid, like a solid, marriage or whatever. It could still work. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, no, to be clear, I do very much um agree with the sentiment. Like, none of these things are going to be like a walk in the park conversation. Like, like a lot of things in life, there's a level of complexity, and you're like, depending on the people, you have to kind of like be able to sit down and rationalize things and just have a open but honest conversation, which is not always easy, even evident by our podcast, but like it can lead to like a productive relationship. Um, so yeah, I definitely agree with that. I know a lot of this for some of the conversations we're kind of leaning on this example of somebody with addiction, and I don't really want to get into that, but like that's all. I wouldn't get into it. That's just an interesting example that we keep leaning on. I guess in the opposite, vice versa, whatever. On the flip side, would you, even though it's also kind of strange talking to men about it, I'm sure if you're talking to women about it, you get kind of a different response, but would you be pushing or vying to get your partner's financial information? Reverse it back on you.
yes, I think yes, definitely. I would want to know. I would want to know how frugal this person is. Like,
Oh, here we
when it
go.
comes to
Damn.
Hold
Oh, so
on.
you want it for real? Okay.
Hmm.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely.
Scope the
Interesting.
situation now.
Huh.
Yeah. This would be part of the research.
That's part of your vetting process.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I like. That's what one day we're gonna have a
Now,
conversation about.
what I know we weren't going to talk about stages in that, but what stage in the relationship would you be looking for this information?
Um. Hmm. I mean, yeah. That's a
I'm
good
assuming
question.
it's gonna be generally like whenever you decide that you're relatively serious or
Yeah,
want to proceed
yeah.
on being serious.
Yeah, I think so. I think at the moment where you say, like, you you want to be exclusive, and you're at least looking toward marriage,
Yeah,
I think that's when you start having those conversations.
yeah.
Hmm.
And again, even that's like it's like it's hard to put like a exact time frame, like months or years or whatever on that. But I think generally whenever you're deciding to get serious, like you said. Um, what was I gonna say? Okay, so yeah, you would. And then what about you, Ghost? Could you see yourself like at some point in time, like pushing to know exactly all their information?
Um,
Like, let me see your bank statements. Let me see your pay stubs. Let me see your debt to
yeah,
income
I'm not the
ratio.
IRS, but I don't. I was gonna say no. Ace's stance kind of makes sense, like so you could just know responsible money. I don't think I would really push for it. I would try to essentially. I want to know that they're willing to do so, to share the information, willing potentially to set up a joint account, but that doesn't mean that like I actively need to see it. It's kind of just like is the willingness and the intent there more so than my personal like
So,
I want to see how X amount of money in your bank
so
account
are you basically
or you
saying
want
you
to see your
don't?
credit score.
So you definitely need to know the credit score. So you're basically saying, or I'm asking you, you don't need to necessarily know all the information, but you want the access to it.
Uh, yeah, kind of. Again, it's really about the trust thing. Do you trust me with the information? And that's what's really important. It's just like for the I can't remember the phrase. Like for the thought of it, for the it's the
Or like the principal or something like that.
Yeah, the principal.
Man, people be saying it's the principle of it and be having no principles, but that's also not applicable to us. Yeah, yeah, a lot of everything y'all are saying basically making sense. It is interesting. This the latter part of this post, the bank rate survey shed light on various forms of financial secrecy, including undisclosed spending, hidden debts, which I think would probably be the biggest one. A lot of people be having debt. A lot of it's typically accrued through school, and also credit card debt, and covert accounts or credit cards. Ted Rossman of Bankrate highlights that secret spending tops the list of financial deceptions. Oh, I guess the biggest thing is actual secret spending. A worrying trend identified by survey is the increasing prevalence of financial secrecy among younger generations, particularly Gen Z and millennials, who reportedly deal with the burdens of debt. So it seems like people in our generation, or even if not younger, are the ones that are really on this, like, I gotta hide my shit. And essentially that's the spending. I have somewhat, not frequent, I don't want to make it we're all talking about it, but I have, I've had conversations, sorry, I'm blanking. I have conversations, about us finances with my significant other, and it's interesting. It's like some of the conclusion I really came to is like, and like you guys said the same time to me, like you should just really, there's really not a lot of reason to not know some things. That's why some of these things are kind of confused to me. Not to get into my whole perspective on it, but it's like, why are you in a scenario? And maybe y'all say something different, but like you don't know what and when your partner is spending generally, and we know what they're bringing in. They basically know what they're bringing in and what they're putting out. Like it really doesn't really make too much sense to me why you wouldn't know that.
I mean, I think it's not necessarily a mystery to me. Like, if two people come together that they both had their own bank accounts, they both they both have a job or whatever, then even if they do a joint thing, like maybe they still have other accounts or whatever that aren't that where the information isn't shared. So I don't think it would necessarily be hard for somebody um to do something secretly that the other person doesn't know about.
I mean,
Given that,
at the point where you're like agreeing to be in like a unit, I mean, it's just like that is like, and maybe it's because we think of like as relationships and subsequently marriage as like you're becoming one, but like, and there's even I think this thing's referenced in the scriptures, but in a different context. But like, could you imagine a situation when your right hand's doing one thing and your left hand's doing another thing, and you don't know? It's like that's what I kind of like I'm equating it to. It's like,
but I
why would
think,
you?
yeah,
What?
I hear you. I think it's almost easier not to like it. I feel like it requires a level of planning slash like an intentional discussion about this is what we're going to do in terms of the finances, this and in terms of our different accounts that we have open. Even if we do a joint account, what are we doing with all the rest of
Well,
these accounts? Are we
I
putting each
I
other on them, or like
I
all of
think
that is
the
all the
overall conversation of like, hey, how are we going to work our finances? That's a big conversation that requires, a good sit down and like going
yeah.
through certain things. I'm just talking about like, because again, they're mentioning like one of the big deals is like secret spending. And it's like, I don't even understand how you get to secret spending. I'm going to buy something, you'll probably know, especially if it's like of a certain amount.
But literally, how? Like, you would have to, for the other person to know, they would have to use an account that both of you have, right?
No, I'm talking about just telling them. I'm gonna go buy this thing at Walmart. You want anything?
Mm, well,
Hey,
yeah, but I
I'm gonna,
mean,
hey, I'm gonna go. Hey, like they mentioned, I'm gonna go, or like we were mentioning. Hey, I'm gonna go make an Amazon purchase. You want anything? Yeah, you gonna want anything in the cart? Like these are really aren't that really hard to really have these conversations.
No, I mean, but the point is that people are doing it because they don't want the other person to know. Like they don't want the other person to know how much they're spending on stuff that the partner may say, "We gotta like don't buy that because it's either we don't need it or we don't have the money to do it." Like it's
Well, I
it's
mean, if
something that people are doing intentionally for a bad
I
reason.
get that, if the reason is like we don't have the money, then we don't have the money.
Well, I mean, we're talking about two different people who, unless they are super on the same page, like they got the same brain, they're gonna have different or you, there's gonna be some level of difference in terms of um what each one maybe considers like financial stability or
maybe it's
how much
such.
they need.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, right. How much you could need to stay, and maybe
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
way different in the confinements of a relationship. But let's say we all put our money together and we have one account. It's for whatever reason. Like understanding that, wouldn't it just make all the sense in the world for? Well, first of all, we know what we're bringing in, so when something's going out, wouldn't it make sense for everyone to have a general consensus on like what's acceptable or not?
It does make sense um for the benefit of the whole, but for the individual who is trying to satiate a craving that they have, they're not thinking about the benefit of the whole per se, or
So it
they're
goes back to a
putting it out of
problem.
their mind or consider. Yeah,
So it goes back to a problem of like it's individual thinking opposed to unit thinking.
100%. Yeah,
Okay, so I mean that's one of the bigger more stories then. Like any like there does come to a point in time where when you're working with others or being in a relationship with them, you have to think of a unit. Again,
yeah, yeah. I mean,
I
if
think
you think
that's
of
you have to really just imagine it as like you're just one or multiple members of one body. The body has to agree.
yeah, you're right. I mean, but I think it is again like it's easy to say, but when you consider that like half of marriages end up in divorce,
Because of
it's
finances. Oh,
obviously
not because
hard
of
to.
finances, but because finances
Yeah,
is a
yeah,
big thing.
yeah. It's obviously harder to put into action, especially when you consider that it's supposed to be over the course of your whole life. And regardless of, I mean, yeah, regardless of anything, like people are two people when they start out in marriage compared to the people that they are either when they divorce or at the end of their marriage, whatever, they are there is a journey, like a growth that happens. They're not the same person that you married. So um there's going to be differences in opinion and all these things that have to be worked out. And it's very easy not to work through those.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I guess like one of the biggest things is make sure you I mean, kind of make a comment about it. Make sure you do your due diligence in the vetting to make sure you find somebody that's as frugal as you and or spends as lavishly as you. I guess is one of the biggest things. And yeah, just be like transparent. Like you're a unit. Like I don't know, it's really not that big of a deal to me. But anyway, if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic. Did I bring that one?
Oops.
Yeah, that is not the next topic.
My fault.
Yes, and on the lines of relationships and some of the things, I don't want to say misconceptions, but some of the things people think about relationships and, how it truly manifests. T Grizzly, salute to T Grizzly. He did an interview. This was a little while ago, but he did an interview. I think I recall watching a good portion of the video, this interview. And as you know, T Grizzly is, you may or may not know, he's married, has a beautiful family. A dope brother in general. Definitely one of the categories of an artist that there are some things outside of music that I definitely enjoy about them. But he was doing an interview, um, and in this particular part of the video or the interview, he was talking about they were talking about his relationship and how he views the concept of being the one for somebody. And it says T. Grizzley explains why he feels like there is no such thing as somebody being the one when it comes to relationships. Let's hear what he has to say.
Married pretty young. Most people say that's pretty young, especially in this industry. 28 years old. How did you know she was the one?
Yeah, so it's no such thing as somebody being the one. You know,
You about to start some shit on
That's
social
right.
media with that one.
no, listen though. It's no such thing as somebody being the one, man. This takes effort. It got to be something you want to do. You got to be the one.
Uh-oh.
Did it stop? Or?
I think Ace froze.
Uh-oh.
No.
You know, because ain't no that you really something want to do, and it's got to be something you make a choice to put effort into. You feel me?
I agree with that.
No, that's right.
I agree with that, but she's still got to be special enough for you to say, this is who I want to spend the rest of my life with.
Yeah, for sure.
have to refresh
For
that
sure.
list.
I mean,
Yeah, I think your internet might have paused or something. We were
The
hearing-
internet bot.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry, folks. We do it live.
at a meeting?
Yeah, on my end, it seemed like you froze as well, but it might have.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All
Wasn't
right.
me for once.
It's relatively short. He didn't say too much. Just refresh it real quick. It's a nice Saturday evening. Just sit back, comfy, cozy. Good content.
Now, you got married pretty young. Most people say that's pretty young, especially in this industry. 28 years old. How did you know she was the one?
yeah. So it's no such thing as somebody being the one. You know.
You about to start some shit on
That's
social
right.
media with that one.
No, listen though. It's no such thing as somebody being the one, man. This takes effort. It got to be something you want to do. You got to be the one. You know what I'm saying? You got to be the one to want to do it because they don't propose. You do. You feel me? This got to be something you want. This got to be something you want to do. This got to be something that you're willing to stick with no matter what. And it's got to be something you make a choice to put effort into. You feel me?
I agree with that.
No, that's
You
right.
I agree with that, but she's still got to be special enough for you to say, this is who I want to spend the rest of my life with.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, everybody's special. You feel me? There's nobody out here that's not special in their own way. You know, with
That's
her.
what you used to tell her.
Huh?
That's what you used to tell her.
I don't know about no. I ain't never had none.
Good answer, T.
I ain't never had none.
But I like your take on that though. Like you got to be the one. You got to, because a lot of men always put it on a woman. It's
Yeah.
like she was the one and she wasn't it. But you're talking about the other side of it,
Yeah.
which I appreciate that. 'Cause
No,
we
for
don't
sure.
we don't hear that
Yeah.
ever. So.
No, for sure. For sure. You got to want it. You got to want it, definitely.
When did you realize? What made you want to do it at that particular moment, in that particular time?
So this always been a dream of mine. I always knew I was gonna do this. You know what I'm saying? Because the household I grew up in.
So let's see, here's that. They put no interview. We might finish the rest of this, but I think that was kind of the main part he said about how, in his per his view, he doesn't believe in a quote unquote one. And I think this is kind of equal to how some people have a notion of like a match made in heaven. Like there's that one person at the Most High, or that somebody chose to be your significant other. You don't believe in that. You gotta work towards that. And I think this is something that we might have generally heard from time to time, but when you kind of think about it in that, you could interpret that to mean you could effectively take, I don't want to say many, but a lot of, probably whatever your view of many, you could take anyone and build a sustainable relationship with them. And I'm curious to know what y'all think about that. Do y'all have the notion of match made in heaven, somebody being that one for you, or do you think, like T. Grizzley said, this is something you have to put effort into, and quote unquote consequently mean you can make somebody to be your best suited partner? What do you think, Ace?
Yeah, I don't I don't necessarily think of there being one person that um you like there only being one person that you could have a compatible um
What do you
and
mean? Wasn't there
fully
one woman for Adam, Eve?
yeah, but I mean
Literally
just
the first ever, the only woman.
Sorry.
yeah, just being thinking about it, I don't know, like um from a like contractual standpoint, which marriage kind of is, it's
Oh, where's he
in
going
a
with this?
it's an agreement that I think you can like if you're willing to, you can keep that agreement with any potential person as long as there's some I mean, as long as there's some level of compatibility, um I think you can keep that agreement. So in that way, like I don't necessarily think there's one person that you could marry and any other person the marriage would be unsuccessful or even unloving. Like I don't think that's true.
So you can take again. When I get because you said compatibility, which is an important factor. Do you think you can take anyone that you have some level of compatibility with, and put in the work to have a sustainable marriage or relationship?
Um, not necessarily. I mean, I don't think there's any guarantee of. I yeah, it's kind of depressing, but I don't think there's any guarantee
Hey man,
of.
let's talk about it. Let's be real.
I don't think there's guarantee of success with the marriage. So
Well,
you,
actually, I'm not really leaning on that. I'm not necessarily saying like the knowing the final outcome, but I'm just saying for that to be your intention.
yeah. I think you could definitely, and I mean, it would make sense. Like if you're compatible with the person, and they're and um, you both agree that you want to work towards or you want to get married and work on having a successful marriage and continue to put in the work um that a successful marriage requires. Like if you both go into it with that agreement, yeah, I think that can happen. I think that agreement could be made with any potential person that you're compatible with if you both have that intention.
What if you're compatible in their mind? They have that intention, but your definition of putting that effort, putting that work is different from theirs.
I mean that's probably the problem with a good amount of marriages is um a misconception of those terms or the yeah again the amount of work that needs to go into maintaining the marriage.
So would you then say like there is a high level uniqueness that that the partner would have to have in order for it to go the distance?
um I don't know, like I don't know because I don't know the number of people that could potentially um satisfy the requirements that like say for me, I don't know the number of women that could potentially satisfy the qualifications that I would have for what would make up a successful marriage. Like
Dang, you're
there's
that
no way
picky?
for me to know that percentage. And it's
I
not even that
mean,
I'm picky,
you
there's
can
just no way.
you can start to gauge based off your like knowledge, experience, and like of the world. I mean, like there's
I guess, but I mean I could say like of the women I've known it's a low percentage.
yeah, you don't have to go based off what you've known, but like that could exist.
Yeah. But at the same time, what was I gonna say? Shoot, I had a good thought I was gonna say. Of the women I've known.
My bad.
That probably leads to the idea of the one is that over the course of our lives, like we're only gonna meet a very limited number of people compared to the number of people that are actually in the world. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if we think of that like that actual percentage maybe in terms of yeah the whole world there's going to be it's gonna it would feel like there's definitely more than just the one you've met over the course of your life. But since we are limited
The internet
in
does
how
expand
many
it though,
people,
but
true. But there's since there's still that level of limitation, that probably does lend to the idea of the one, just from, I mean, a statistical standpoint. Like the
yeah.
lower your pool is, the more, or the smaller the pool is, the more it's gonna seem like, yeah, this person is the only person I could have been with. There's no other person in the world.
hmm And I'm glad you kind of thought about it in terms of yourself. Because I was gonna ask, not ask that, but I was gonna say if it helps, y'all can think about it in terms of like for yourself. What do you think are the chances of? Not chances, but like, do you think it's like a small group of people that could end up, being a compatible partner with you? And then what do you think of like the average person? Do you think for the average person it's like similar to where it's like a relatively small group of people, or do you think it expands out less or more?
It's probably pretty small for, I mean, for maybe any given person.
Hmm.
Maybe, but because like we're thinking about, or I'm thinking about, the potential for these people to have a successful relationship. I think it's still probably pretty small when you consider the limited number of people you're taking out of the pool of the world.
Yeah, and I guess we can if you I was gonna say maybe we can keep it in the states, but honestly, with the internet, you do have the world technically. Um, but what about you, Ghost? What do you think of the idea or concept of the one? Do you believe there is the one for you, or do you?
This is off topic, but y'all keep saying the one like that, and I keep thinking of the Matrix and Neo.
Oh my lord,
But
the
uh,
one. You are the one.
um, but I think this is. I guess before I give my answer, when T Grizzly's talking about this, I think for me personally, I think he's interpreted it or understanding it differently because the way he's phrasing it, and correct me if I'm wrong, and the way I interpret it is that he's saying that you shouldn't think of just one person as the one, and that one person is who you actually put in effort to be with long term. And if they don't fall under that classification, then you don't foresee a long term future with. When have thought about it generally and traditionally, or what people have said is like, it's this: you can be with multiple people, you can put an effort with multiple people, but only one person is really gonna be at like a max level of compatibility with you and meet all your requirements and stuff like that. Is I don't know if that's an important distinction or not, or if you guys interpret it the same way.
The reason why I'm laughing is because you know what the even funnier thing, and I don't want to get off into this tangent just yet, but we're talking about the one, but we're only talking about the concepts, and maybe we should stick to that in the concept of if a person truly only wants one partner. But
Yeah, like
Good point. That's a good point. That's a
I
good
don't
point.
I don't
like
think that's.
especially Ben.
I think you can have multiple people that you could potentially be married to and have a successful marriage with, but there's just one person that of all the people in the world then or that you'll end up meeting that you have that level of understanding and compatibility with that you could get close to it with other people but you won't necessarily achieve it, but that I don't even think that means you can't have a successful marriage.
Yeah,
But
I
the,
think it just
when
when go ahead, Ace. Go ahead.
so are you just looking at it from a, like, again, from a statistical standpoint, where there's going to be one person that's at like that
yeah,
99.999%, and
I
then everybody else is a little bit lower than that.
I get what you're saying. That's not really how I'm looking at it because technically, from a statistical standpoint, you're right. There's going to be one person that inevitably will fit best with you. I'm just thinking about
Only
it more
one?
so from like, I mean, by definition, there can only be one.
No,
So it's
people.
just the
Yeah,
highest,
there's
like,
only
person at the high,
yeah, like
highest.
the highest.
You don't. You
There
guys
can
don't. You
only
guys
be
don't
one
believe there.
best.
You guys don't believe there are multiple people that have like damn near bar for bar the same like outline of human.
But there's
characteristic?
always gonna be that little inkling,
Yeah.
99.98 versus 99. That
Yeah,
one
exactly.
person will be higher. But I'm not even looking at it from that.
Yeah, I don't want to necessarily
standpoint.
stray on that if it's not that important, but
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe
In
maybe
my-
it's something I
I
believe
mean,
so.
This is like pseudoscience because what are we even talking about in terms of a 99.9999%?
Yeah, it's-
I think it's actually not a bad way to. I mean, even though it is kind of making this seem more inhuman, quote unquote. But I think it is like a good way to measure. Like there's going to be a number of people, maybe a small number of people that are like 90+% compatible with you, and then you broaden it up to whatever what's in your pool of what makes you a person compatible with you, then it becomes like 80%, and then you just keep going down the long line to where you have like no compatibility with them. So I guess maybe another prevalent, and it's not really. I don't know if people could be able to honestly articulate it, but like I wonder if you did like a survey, what would people say is like the level of compatibility you need with somebody for it to make sense? But again, that's
for
like
marriage to make sense.
yeah, but that's
Yeah.
that's like hard to kind of. I mean, on like a grand scale, we can like think of like, okay, do we have different, or do we have the same views of like faith, of quote unquote politics, of like family? Like those are probably some big things that go into compatibility. But then there's like smaller things like what type of, not small, but what type of house you want to live in, type of environment you want to live in, stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know. There's not gonna be someone that's the top of the list in all those categories. It's just that's impossible. There might be someone that averages out to be in the best if we're looking at it as still from a physical standpoint. But yeah, so I guess I kind of got sidetracked because it's not relevant necessarily to the question. I just thought it was kind of interesting the way he framed it versus I usually see it. But going back to the actual topic of discussion, I don't believe in the concept of it. Just I kind of mentioned it briefly earlier.
I wonder if this is a masculine thing. Although I think I've seen a lot of guys say they're waiting for their one and only like queen.
Yeah, because I think ideally, if you are getting married to someone, you think in your head that you want to spend the rest of your life with this person. You're not going to find anyone better. But let's say, God forbid, like that person dies or something happens.
Jesus.
You're not with them for your entire life. I think if you subscribe to the notion that, yeah, there is only this one person, and then after they die, then
you want to get remarried.
Yeah, exactly. You won't remarry. I don't think that's accurate. I think there can be multiple different women, multiple different significant others that you might find throughout the course of your life that you could spend your life with, but it's just, it would be difficult. It's like kind of tied into what Ace is saying, and between all the women that dealt with in my life in the past and I could foresee myself being with, I mean, I don't think that there's a I don't want to say I think it's like a whole line of women that would fit the qualifications, for lack of a better term.
For you or for average person? I mean, what's your answer for both? Actually, sorry.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of interesting because for me, I think.
Come on, are you picky?
I think I'm on the pickier side. However, I think that every person has, unless you're like a sociopath or you have like some mental disorder, I think every person kind of has the same number of people or the same baseline of how compatible you can be with another person.
You have to be sociopathic?
No, I'm saying unless you were like an outlier in a certain way where your mind is just, you think completely differently from everyone else. In general, most men, most women are going to have a similar number of people that they can feasibly marry and have a successful marriage. But the distinction is you might be a lot more selective with who you think that could be versus not actually who it is.
Doesn't that conflict with the previous statement?
No, because you can think that you're compatible with a lot of people, but when you start dealing with the ins and outs and the minutia of their personality and how they approach things, then you think, oh, I'm actually not compatible with the person.
Okay, so repeat it one more time. I guess I'm missing it. You're saying the number of people that are men and women could end up with is the same?
Yeah, so like a quick, basic, super simple analogy or example, like you got 10, you're a dude, you got a list of 10 different women that you could potentially be with. You, in your mind, you might be picky and say, oh, I only want to be with 2 of them. And in reality, maybe 3 of them you could have a successful marriage with if you went down that road. And on the flip side, you might have someone that thinks, oh, I can be with like 7 or 8 of these women, but those still only 3 that you would end up having a successful relationship with. So the 3 and the 3 are the same. It's just are you more selective than another person? Kind of another statistical
I don't know if
way of looking at it.
I don't know if it's clicking all the way, but I think you do agree with the sentiment that for some people, they are going to be a bit more selective than other people.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah,
And maybe just by the nature of like what they got going on, like, you know, maybe your faith is like something that only a small number of people subscribe to. Maybe like you want to live in Florida, which no, I'm just joking. A lot of people actually want to live in Florida. If you want to live in Alaska, probably the number of partners that'll co-sign there probably start to get slim.
yeah.
But, like, they're just like kind of one-off examples. Okay, so you said so you're gonna pick your side. You think? Dang, I kind of want to dig into. I want to dig into that. I don't want to take up all night. Okay, just quick one, maybe 2 things that you will make you say you are a bit selective.
The reason why I think that, for me, it's not even like I don't think it's like a matter of like, oh, I want X amount of kids or I don't want to live in a certain spot. For me, it's just like imagining like in my day-to-day life when I'm by myself or I'm doing certain things, I'm like, if I'm with a partner, if I'm with a woman right now, how would she? It's kind of weird because I don't like plan out in my head exactly how it would happen, but I'm just like imagining like what type of person would I want to be with that they would interact with me or have a certain reaction to certain things I do or say in a specific way, and how
So what you're saying? You can't even fathom your future wife? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's more so like based on my past experience of like how a general amount of people would react to. Like I can't think of like a specific example which I know would help.
I'm just looking for like a specific thing that you think
they can't be a bad singer, right? And sing around the house.
Oh yeah, he did say that before.
That I guess, yeah. Again, it's not even. It's certain things like that. It's like a culmination of small things. Like if I'm sitting there reading for 2 hours and listening to music, and she wants to go out and for a couple hours and go to a bar or something. That's not the best. That's not the best example. But
to a restaurant.
Yeah, yes, you got to change that because if your sister wants to go to a bar and you want to be at home, then son, y'all not compatible. Unless you want to go to
it. There's a lot of people that want to go to bars with their significant others.
With their significant others.
I'm not saying by yourself. I'm saying together with the other person. So
although even if I don't know if you finished that statement, if you're saying that you wouldn't want to go out if you're in that type of mode and environment, then you're probably not all strictly compatible unless you're just saying that.
And I mean it's not going to be like
reader. You need a reader.
Yeah, I think that is true.
How many women are avid readers? We gotta look into that. Anyway, you're taking. Not that you're taking a long time, but then what about you, Ace? What's one or two ways in which you would say like you're selective?
This is a lot harder for me, actually. I think we talked about this in the past.
Oh
how I have
yeah,
a difficult time with
yeah.
this.
Maybe it's changed as you evolved.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think so, to be honest.
Do
I
you do you need a person that's Oof, I don't want to get into your personal lives. Do you?
I
Do
mean,
you
my
need,
thing is my stuff isn't like that. The things that I can think of aren't that crazy. Like in terms of age, I would want them to
so
be.
yes, so maybe you don't have any selective things. So maybe you have a broad pool of candidates that would meet you.
I guess, yeah. I feel like I probably have a broader pool, but
What about
maybe
like
it averages it out.
introverted versus extroverted, outgoing, talkative, quiet?
Either could work
Not to get your thing, and I guess it's maybe applicable to
in my mind.
to all of us. But would you need a person that's like heavily preoccupied, normally, or is it not a big difference?
They're busy a lot.
Yeah, they're as busy as you, basically, or yeah, in general.
Um. So in
Or they
other
could
words,
have
would I want
or they
them
could
to
have
be
free
more-
time, taking walks in the park, chilling while you, or even in your all up under you in your business while you trying to work.
I mean, yeah, all of these things seem like they could work. I think I would actually maybe prefer the last one, but I mean, I don't know.
Fair enough. It's definitely something to think about, yes, and like your perspective of like when you are interacting with people, like, hey, what does their life look like, and trying to relate it to yours rather.
Yeah, I mean, maybe my idea about this is still immature, but I I still think I still think in terms of the idea of compatibility like being the biggest thing, when I say that, I mean I don't really understand how and this is just in terms of friendships. I don't really understand how some of the people I've become friends with, like how or why we're compatible, like what that actually arose from. Because a lot of times I don't necessarily like the stuff that they're into. Like it's been sports, it's been different things, or it's like we just generally do not have the same likes, but because our personalities are so compatible, it doesn't even matter. Like we can talk about whatever they like, we can talk about whatever I like, and we're still into that because we like we're compatible around each other. We just
Well, it
like
seems
each
like
other's company.
well, it just seems
So
like maybe your compatibility isn't super big on like interests.
yeah,
Maybe they're more
yeah,
so aligned with like maybe how you treat each other. Are
yeah,
you
maybe. But
are
even
you
like you
maybe
said,
are
the
you
introvert and
maybe
extrovert
are
too.
you open, quote unquote, to
Yeah, and even
different
with the
things?
introvert and extrovert, it's like I don't think that necessarily plays into it if the two people have this like in sync compatibility. It'll they'll still be like in my mind. You could still have a very fruitful and fulfilling relationship, even if the personalities like compared to other people as far as introvert and extrovert, it doesn't really match up. So I don't know.
Fair enough. One day we are going to dig deeper into that because I feel as if for a lot of people compatibility is hard to describe, but the more and more I've like just kind of looked at relationships, look at my own relationships, I think I don't want to say get it down to a science, but there are some like key things, some of the things I'm mentioned have been like broad about like faith, where you want to live, environments, things of that nature, like interests. But I think some of these things do accumulate to like establishing compatibility. And I will say for some people, I even say for myself to a certain degree, like what your interests are, it doesn't necessarily heavily weigh on you, but I think there are some things that are like tangible, so identifiable, that like I can identify whether this person going to be compatible. I'm not to out my. I guess I don't have to think about these things in this Lord's will in this context, but like one thing for me, and I would say it's true for a lot of guys. If you're a person that wants to be going out late and staying out late in certain environments, that's just not going to be compatible for me because that's not my interest. So that's like an example. Certain professions, I'm not going to get into it, but it's just not going to be compatible. Some of that argue, some of that's argumentative, not going to be compatible. I could go on, but I digress. Yeah, but I think getting back to this again, so let's see Grizzley. I think yeah, I mean, think we could actually go on longer for this because it's interesting. It's like if we can kind of rationalize and come to the conclusion that like it really doesn't boil down to a one. It is like finding some level of compatibility and then you putting the required work to make it last and sustainable. Why is it so heavily portrayed in the media and even like to a point where people like genuinely will ask like, how did you know this person was the one? Why is it that's a popularized thing in society for this person to be like, you're one that heaven brought together? What do you think, Ghost? It doesn't have to be a big thing. Just kind of generally asking, just generally curious to why y'all think that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the biggest reason is probably just like romance novels, romance movies, and the idea of the one is so heavily perpetrated and enforced over and over in media, and it's just become like the standard or the idealization of what a relationship should be like. Like you find.
So if it's such a big thing, why? So if it's such a big thing, why didn't it affect you? Why don't you want other one? Your queen.
Oh, I mean, I want someone that ideally gives me the feeling that I found the one, but I just don't think that there's actually only one.
Oh, there we go. Everybody wants that feeling. They're super special. There's no one else like them. Is that what you're saying?
That's not the case, which is why I say that there's not just the one.
But you're saying you want the feeling.
Yeah. What do you mean?
So
That's literally the point of like why you want to get married.
That is not the point of why I want to get married or why you should want to get married.
Hold on. What would you say the point is?
The point of marriage is a unionship and family building.
Yeah, because you love the person. Essentially, what it boils down to, right?
Well, the thing I'm saying is a much broader and not more important, but like it's really like you don't necessarily like feeling isn't necessarily the most one-to-one tied thing into the.
Really?
Yeah, that's why I'm making fun of you, but
disagree. Feeling should you can want to get married for a lot of different reasons that you stated, but the person that you marry should be exclusively because you love them.
Oh, we're not gonna dive into this right now.
How is that is that a crazy take?
No, it's not a crazy take.
Don't get yourself into trouble though.
I don't believe in getting in trouble. Let's be very clear. Yes, you should love them, and it will be a part of it. But I'm saying the literal purpose for marriage, and I hate to I don't want to be one of the guys that gets into how marriage has been traditionally, but it typically is like a unionship of families and continuing to procreate, continuing to build a community. It's about the building of, I don't want to say a nation, but of a group. That's the raw key purpose. The love thing is not the main reason. The love is the love is the love is a benefit of it. And even in that love, I don't know if I would say that you need to feel like you are the only one.
We're gonna extend this topic a little bit because okay, so if you let me ask two separate questions. It don't have to be long answers, but arranged marriages. I think we kind of touched on this before.
I'm all
If
for
it
it.
wasn't arranged, you are on board with it. So if the arranged marriage doesn't result, like it results in like you respect other person, you build a family with them, but you don't necessarily feel like a deep love for them. Are you okay with that?
I mean, kind of hard to imagine how I could not feel this love for this person. But if I agree to, because I believe in arranged marriage, but I also believe in choice. Let's be clear. Like if someone says no,
Yeah,
I want,
I get that. Like, not don't force them.
but yeah, but you know, if you marry somebody, you make that like commitment. Again, it's hard for me to understand this, but if you, for whatever reason, one day you just wake up and you don't really love this person, you gotta eat that, bro. You gotta write it out. And you can also,
Really?
I also strongly believe in like, love is like damn near a choice. Like, obviously, I'm like there are some things that aren't like that are beyond human control, like our interests, our attractions, what we like. So I'm not saying these things you can just make it appear over time, but it's in terms of like having a connection with the person, wanting like doing things, you having enjoyment with that person. Those things you can work on. You can work towards like quote unquote loving, depending on how you perceiving love with a person. Absolutely.
You can, but it shouldn't feel like, in my opinion, it shouldn't feel like a job. Like, okay, I guess another quick scenario.
Marriage is gonna feel like a job.
You-
I don't like newsflash for everybody out there. Marriage is going to feel like a job. It is.
A job that you have to put in work, obviously, in marriage.
I think Grizzley said as much.
I agree with that, but it should be a job that you enjoy doing and you love doing. Do you agree with that, or do you not?
I want to say these things can both be true. Yeah, I would say generally, yeah.
Like, if you feel like you're in a relationship, you kind of said it already, but you're in a relationship, you're putting in work to love the person, but you're not loving the process, for lack of a better phrase.
Well, you might not love the process. There are going to be some aspects in processes of relationship in a marriage that you don't love.
That's fine, but instead of aspects, I'm saying like the overall marriage with the person, like every day, I don't want to say it's a struggle, but it's
The overall
every
feeling,
day
the overall feeling of a marriage has to be positive. I agree with that sentiment.
okay. And sorry, one last question for you. Let's say you have two different women, two different prospects. I hate phrasing it like this, but one woman that you feel a stronger passion, stronger connection with, you enjoy her personality more. I guess you could say you love her more. I kind of don't want to reduce it down to that, but it's essentially she feels like you're one for whatever reason, but she has some things about her that might not make it as easy or possible to fulfill the duties of a marriage. Like, for example, let's say she's barren, that she can't have kids or something like that.
You can cut it. You
Or,
can cut it.
like-
Right, you can cut it right there. Actually, you actually don't have to cut it because damn, did I ever admit this to y'all? I don't believe I specifically, you know, and I don't even like having the conversation, but I specifically want one wife. I'm not really interested in multiple wives. So to all the brothers that do, I'm not even necessarily against it. So I actually really give a lot of props to the king. I would say he would be even more dope if he had them all under one roof. But that's neither here nor there. I don't want that. The only way I could potentially even foresee myself in the conversation of multiple wives, multiple whatever the case may be, is if I had a wife but she couldn't produce.
So a Rachel and Leah situation.
Exactly.
Okay, so to finish off my question, it was gonna be on the first wife. Obviously, the personality-wise, she's kind of ideal for you, but there's some difficulties. And the second wife is like you don't feel that. I don't want to say you don't feel any love, but there's a lot less certain things about her personality you don't like.
Well, I think
But-
every partner that you choose, you should have a high level love for them. But sorry to keep
Yeah,
interrupting your question.
No, you're good. Like I get it. Like there should so in your mind there should definitely be a baseline. But if one's at like a 7 and one's at a 10, you would prioritize like the duty, the aspects that she'd be able to fill the duty better. Like doesn't have any issues with childbearing or anything like that. You would choose. I was gonna ask if you would choose the second over the first, but it sounds like you would choose both.
If I can only get one, it sounds really messed up, and that's why I actually, and a lot of the people that I've ever talked to, I really emphasize the importance of kids, because that's really what I want. I also want wives too, but yeah, I gotta, if I can only get one, again, I'm choosing the one kids I can have kids with.
All right, yeah, that's all. I think I have a very fundamentally different view of it than you do, but there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. Just interesting.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, obviously when we bump the conversations about relationships, marriage, compatibility, obviously those conversations can be in a whole podcast in itself, but there's other stuff to talk about, so unless there's anything else, we can move on to the next topic.
Oh, real quick, this discussion reminded me of the Black Mirror episode "Hang the DJ," and also that movie "Past Lives" that I was talking about last week.
What's
Highly
the Hang the
recommend.
DJ one? I think I've seen that.
It's like a dating app one. Well, I probably gave it away.
You know what this reminds me of?
Spoilers?
You know what the topic really reminded me? I think one of y'all mentioned it when we started talking about remarrying. I think it was going to be a topic, but I just didn't bring it. There was this one story. There was this one story about I forget which way it was. I want to say it was a guy and he had a wife, but his wife passed. He created a silicone replica of her, and he never remarried. So maybe for him, he might have been the one brother in life where he had the one, and once she passed, he wasn't trying to have no other one. But never mind that. Okay, I'll put a bit of pause because I'm going to have to edit this. Okay, so this is really just a follow-up joint. It's really not into anything to discuss. If you'll recall, we had a topic a while ago about how Walmart was coming out and saying, it might have been other grocery stores too, but Walmart came out and said because of drugs like Ozempic, which if you recall is a appetite suppressant drug which helps people lose weight. They were saying because of this drug and maybe other ones too, people were buying less food, and that's obviously kind of an interesting aftermath effect of that drug that literally infects the economy of food. But I just wanted to bring this as a follow-up because I think one of the things we said, and I think somebody even left a comment under that video about how like we're doing these things, but we don't even know what the side effects are going to be. Well, just in case anyone didn't think there were side effects, let's see. Well, it starts off by talking about a specific person, but I think there was other people that had other side effects as well. Paulson Bronstein, sorry, I'm saying the name wrong, who was diagnosed with diabetes, began taking a newly suggested medication called Ozempic on his doctor's advice in 2018. He hoped that the medicine would help him manage his condition, but unfortunately, it had the opposite effect. Despite the promised benefits, Bronstein faced severe adverse effects, which eventually led to his hospitalization. He had to undergo gallbladder removal surgery due to unbearable pain and alarming symptoms, including jaundice? I think I heard that one before. Bronstein was living within the Navajo Nation in this is like Native American territory. Kayenta, Arizona. According to USA Today, Jesus, brothers all over the thing. That guy situation is just one of many. There are several lawsuits against Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, the pharmaceutical companies behind GLP-1 agonist.
I don't know.
Agonist drugs. These drugs are known for their effectiveness in managing diabetes and promoting weight loss, but have been linked to severe digestive issues, leading to legal action. The consolidation of over 60 under a federal judge in Philadelphia indicates the severity and prevalence of these allegations. It also highlights potential issues in patient safety and lack of adequate warning about possible side effects. GLP-1, that thing, it's a classification of a drug. such as Ozempic, Wegovy, Rizelbot. Why do these drugs be having the craziest names under the?
Where'd you find the Z in that?
What do you mean? I said V. I said what?
Rizelbot.
Okay, that's fine. I'll take the jokes. These drugs have gained widespread popularity due to their effectiveness, making them highly profitable for pharmaceutical companies. However, the increasing numbers of lawsuits against these drugs raise concern about the balance between their benefits and risks, mainly with the side effects and result in life-altering conditions. So, again, if you were out there and you were thinking about taking a weight appetite suppressant, be very, very careful because they can potentially have nasty side effects. And also reminds me, I think even a long time ago, we had a topic about like how they were thinking about using like a mechanical locking device on people's jaws.
Oh my god!
to suppress eating, which is always so interesting. Like, obviously, I'm no like nutritionist, weight loss expert, but I know I understand fundamentally, to lose weight you have to have a calorie deficit. But I know it is diet that is one of the large like leading causes of like weight and health issues, but it's just like you need a drug to not eat. Jeez. All right. You know what? I'm always gonna try to give glory to the Most High in the scriptures. You need something in your life that promotes fasting. Because I'd be honest, obviously I get hungry. I feel as if I'm always hungry, but it's not really a big thing to not eat. But I don't want to like assign that to everybody. Obviously, different people, different conditions, you know. But anyway, this is just a segue. It's still all in one topic to the next topic, actually. So yeah, again, this is more of a beware. Pull the next thing, Ace. More of a beware. Ozempic's out here causing people gallbladder removal surgeries and all type of stuff. But speaking of weight loss, this was what I really want to talk about. This happened a while ago as well, but it's definitely interesting time to talk about it. So I don't know if y'all remember when 50 was at the Super Bowl. You can obviously see the picture right here, salute to Hollywood on the left. I don't know. Obviously, us as grown-ass men probably didn't even think twice about it, but apparently people were calling him Big Bone when he was doing a Super Bowl performance. And yeah, he apparently lost some weight because of it. And he's quoted by saying, "Y'all was calling me fat at Super Bowl. Don't think I forgot that shit." But we gotta actually go back. So go down to the first slide because we gotta go in order, chronological order. So, as you can see here, 50. How old is 50? Is he actually 50 years old at this point? You know, looking relatively lean, looking relatively good. But obviously, people remember that he was looking a bit bigger in previous times, like at the Super Bowl. So, people were like, I think in this video, he might even reference Ozempic, but people were saying I think he's either like taking something or he's sick or something to that effect. Let's hear what he had to say.
Wait, when they're talking about, what they want to talk about? We're talking about weight loss. I was in the gym. I was working the fuck out, man. They're gonna say it's Ozempic. I was running. I was doing what I had to do. You see me on tour. I ran around. I was 253 pounds. I came down. I'm 210 right now, right? Al, so how you feel about it? You tell me how you feel about it later, right? Drew Finland, right? Drew Finland is one of the lawyers, right? And I told Lyfin to use this dude, right? I got him to use him. He used him. I said, yo, listen, good lawyer, man. I'm telling you this and that, right? And I started feeling shaky about this shit because he told me the first day they came in there he was stuttering. And his mother said he was stuttering 50. This is your shit. You told him to use this motherfucker. I said, oh shit. I started feeling crazy. They talking about an offer for 20 years. Then 20 years go to an offer. And I go, Drew, is this real? Like 20 motherfucking years? And he said, don't worry about it.
So to 50. Go to the next slide. I think it just kind of summarizes what he was talking about. So, yeah, he said, because people were calling him out. He just addresses the weight loss in this one. He said he was at 250 and he went down to 210, which is upwards of 40 pounds, which salute to him. And he said, no, I was just working out. It was all me. So, and then I guess, then later on he came out and said what he said about why he did it. Go over one more. Oh, more. So, he said, I done turned into Mr. Let's make a deal on these H words. The F you gonna tell me now? Y'all was calling me fat at the Super Bowl. Don't think I forgot that shit. So yeah. Salute to 50. It's a really interesting case because if you know 50 Cent, this is really, really in line with his behavior. Like if you call him out for something, he's gonna get it done. Like if you say he can't produce a show, he's gonna produce like 50 shows. Like how many power spinoffs are there? If you say he can't be like one of the best or one of the biggest rappers in New York of all time, he's gonna make In the Club and then proceed to do that. So yeah, or Many Men, whichever one you think is doper. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, he did that. He did that shit. He's Mr. Let's make a deal. And I think again, I don't want to like make this a sexist thing, but I think as grown ass men, I think we can look at this and it's just like, yeah. Like they were coming at him, and then he did the thing. But when we step back and we really analyze what happened, this was a form of like fat shaming. whether it worked for the good or better, that's up to your discretion. So ultimately, when I think of this, or when I saw this, I'm really curious to know what y'all think about this, and I'm curious to know what y'all think of like, should we move towards a culture where we are not commenting on people's weight as much, even though in certain cases that can lead to a positive result in this type of case? In theory, what do you think? Ghost? Start with you.
I mean, to be honest, my moral of the story for this: bullying works. Like,
yikes.
I'm not necessarily condoning it, but at the same time, like,
Why wouldn't you condone something?
He's
that works?
happier. I guess some of these comments, I guess, they're a little pressed because they liked him better when he was bigger, but.
Jesus.
In general, I think people are happier. I don't know if people really care about 50 Cent's physique, but at the end of the day, I mean, kind of a good result. If I'm being serious, bullying is not good, specifically because you don't know if people can take it. If you do know that the person can take it, like 50 Cent obviously can, then some healthy and constructive criticism, we'll call it that instead of bullying, is always.
What's a healthy and constructive way to tell somebody that they're a bit big more?
It's constructive if the intent is to help them out.
What if my intent is to help you, but I call you a fat ass bitch?
Now, although those fighting words for a lot of people, for a specific subset of people, like if you say that to your friend, and you're kind of joking around, but at the same time, it's like it's getting a little thick, a little heavy. It could serve as a motivator for them to get in the gym, and it just kind of boils down to what type of person you are. But another person
it could motivate them to get into the gym, but what if it motivates them to go down a darker path?
Yeah, like it could motivate them to, like you said, get depressed about it. It could motivate them to want to fight you. But it kind of boils down to what type of person you are. So the real actual moral of the story is if you want to help someone and you want to give them criticism or let them know what they shouldn't change, it needs to, for one, come from a place where you genuinely want to help them and want them to be better. And you should also know the way to frame it. Because again, for some people, posting some stuff online and everyone clowning you is a great motivator, and that will get you to change your ways. But then for a lot of people, that's could motivate them to want to never step outside again because they don't want to be bullied like that. And if you don't know a person, you don't know how to approach it, so you shouldn't really say anything.
Okay, that was one of my main questions.
Might not work for out of 50 people, might not work for another 49, but for him it works. So your mileage may vary if you want to bully people online like this.
Okay. So you're basically saying you got to know your audience.
Essentially, yeah, and you should literally know the person that you're criticizing.
Okay, and if you don't know them, it's best to just not say nothing.
Yep.
I don't want to out you. No, not that it isn't an out, but so you're saying you never made a slick remark online or about a person that you don't really know about their weight, about their body?
I can say, well, online, I can pretty definitively say no. Like if I'm watching a movie or something, I see someone that's like, I don't know, they're ugly or fat or some shit. I might like make a comment about it, but I've never like actively done it in a way that they would be aware of it, I guess.
Fair enough. If you are gonna say anything, it's gonna be like really private.
Yeah, I'm not gonna pretend like I've never talked bad about people.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Have.
I was more so talking on a public setting. So, okay.
Yeah, I can say I have not.
Nice, score 1 for us being of quote unquote good moral character. I don't know if you can say that. Just you see how we go through you, Ace. What about you, Ace? What do you think of this situation, and what do you think of people making comments on people's appearances and weight? Do you think we should cut that shit, or do you think it, since there could be some benefit, we just got to deal with it in the way it kind of happens in this day and age?
I think Ghost, the conclusion that Ghost came to, I think I agree with 100%. In that
bullying works.
No, well, okay.
Damn.
The part where we concluded that you should know the person that you if you're going to be doing any type of critiquing, you should know the person personally.
What do you mean? What do you guys mean when you say know the person personally? Can you
Not
tell?
just a celebrity that you don't know.
Oh, I'm saying I wasn't gonna. Can you tell a coworker that you notice that you don't know, but he's gonna. He be eating all the donuts on donut day?
Well, for me, you have to know them well enough to know how they'll respond to your type of criticism.
How do you know how anyone's gonna respond on any given day? I might tell you something one day and you're not in the mood to hear it, and now I'm getting attacked.
I don't know. I mean, there's always gonna be some times you're not really accurate, but if you feel comfortable and confident, most of the time, if you frame something a certain way, they're going to respond to it in a certain way. Then I think you have to go ahead to say it. It's not always going to work, but yeah.
Fair enough. Sorry, go ahead, Ace.
Yeah. That's that I think I agree with wholeheartedly, and I don't think we should go in the other direction and shy away from giving people constructive criticism, or not even that, just expressing concern about somebody's health.
What about if it's opposite sex?
Based on what you can see. What
about if it's opposite sex?
I mean, tread carefully, but
you gotta make sure you really know them.
What do you mean? Y'all don't believe in equality?
I'm gonna be sexist here, but you have to, like you were saying before about how you might catch someone on a not so great day and they don't respond to it how you think they were. You got to be super super delicate with how you approach that with a woman in particular.
Jesus. Fair enough. My bad. You got anything else, Ace?
I was gonna say like this is super semi-related, but one thing that like just has always baffled me for the majority of my life up till very recently is how like celebrities get plastic surgery and go like off the deep end to where they look like or they're like in uncanny valley territory. And I've always wondered like how it gets to that point where the person thinks they still think they look fine, but everybody else recognizes that the person looks like it's just they don't look human. And i watched this um I watched this plastic surgeon talk about it, and one of the things they said was like these people for the most part they don't have anybody like in their own circle telling them that you're going too far with it or whatever.
Oh,
It
I see where
for
you're
the
going.
Yeah, usually it's just they have people that kind of enable them to keep doing what they're doing. So for stuff like that, I think it's almost important that somebody express that what you're doing, there's a problem, like you're going too far, there's something wrong here. The you just continuing to do this, there's some deficit or something you're trying to compensate for, but it's not like you need to stop. um s- it, so when I heard that, I was like, it made it clear the importance of having those people in your life that really care for you and that
Yeah.
really want to see the best for you, even if it might hurt you to have to come to terms with a health problem or some like a mental thing that you have. If you don't have anybody telling you about yourself, you you're probably less likely to have any impetus to change. So
Hmm.
I still think it's very important to maintain that. But the person who's doing it, obviously it has to be out of a place of compassion and love, and not just criticizing the person just to be an asshole. So,
Fair enough. All right. So I guess what you gonna call it? Reenactment time, or whatever you want to call it. So say I'm getting up there. It's like I'm letting and it's starting to look a little, you know, blobbish. What are you gonna tell me is? We were talking about compliments.
about
What's the criticism gonna sound like?
I'm thinking about you in particular.
Yes, I'm the audience. Yes, I'm
Yeah,
listening.
yeah.
One too many patties with cocoa bread. Come on.
Hmm. See, I'm thinking about you in particular. I don't feel like I have to be very, very.
Just give it to me how you. Just tell me how you tell me.
Quest, you're getting big. Like, what's going on? I don't feel like I have to tippy toe around it.
Hold up. What do you mean I'm getting big?
You are putting on the pounds, um, and it doesn't look like muscle. Like, what's
Damn, bro, that's kind of worse than saying straight up you're fat. What the hell?
I mean, like, I know I gained a little, but like, what do you mean? So are you saying
no?
so you're saying
It's
saying I don't look good now? What are you trying to say?
Yeah, it's not just a little. It's looking like a lot.
I ain't even. Why am I getting fake hurt? Dang.
Oh my
I was gonna ask you to do it too, Ghost, but
this
I don't
feels
know.
like a real conversation that could have happened. Oh my god, that's so hilarious.
Dang. Oh.
Oh
if,
my
if
god.
y'all ever needed motivation not to get big, you might have a homeboy
Yo,
like Ace that's
don't
going
have
to
A's and shoot.
like holy.
Oh my god.
Like, you didn't even try to ease into it. You didn't like. Don't you? Wouldn't you ask like, "Hey, are you all right?" First. Is everything good at home?
Apparently not.
I don't think so. I mean, not for it. I don't think I would for you.
Uh-huh. There you have it. I think that I don't think you can beat that, Ghost. So I think we'll just.
That's
I guess one other thing, and the thing is like, it is such a delicate thing. I think one of the biggest things that you guys have reiterated is like you have to really know who your audience is. Like, you can't just like treat everyone like everyone's the same and how everyone's going to react to something, because again, while some people will take it like 50 and use it as motivation, like they're on the treadmill every time they think about slowing down, they think of the comments in their head. Some people are going to let the comments get to them. They're going to either get worse, they're going to fall into depression, they're going to potentially delete themselves. It could be a really bad situation. But I think to some degree, and I might be wrong, we can all relate to like using like negative like comments to fuel ourselves. And I guess I was just gonna ask, have y'all ever I don't want to say been bullied, but like heard something about yourselves? It could be from anybody, like from like family, friends, or maybe somebody that you didn't like or that didn't like you, that you kind of used to motivate yourself to get something, to do something. You have anything else?
No, I think I've already explained that. Well, I mean, just in terms of looks, or yeah, like physical looks. I'm my biggest critic, so nobody else has critiqued me more than my own mind.
Got you. What about you, Ghost?
maybe a couple things. Like I haven't. It's nothing that I've really like super dwelled on to the point where like it became like a gigantic insecurity or something. But just like minor comments. I think the one time I'm not gotten upset, but got like, man, I know you bugging, and it like motivated me to change it. With people used to talk about my beard. My beard still is not in great shape, but at least it's
You kind of got a Philly beard. I ain't gonna lie.
yeah, I gotta like it's again, it needs work, but it's in a decent shape. But I got those comments about my beard not connected. This was from my younger sisters. That shit pissed me off.
Jesus.
You don't know how hard and how long I tried to work to get my beard to connect, and those comments,
Man, that's that thing
they
that
just said it because they knew it pissed me off.
yeah, that's that thing that people would say. It really stings. They like you don't even realize how much that can be annoying.
Oh, they do. And what's funny is that's like I think really the only thing that I'm like I actually got pressed about, because like I mean I've gotten like I used to get like when I had acne and stuff, like I got a couple comments, like nothing like hurtful, like because I had black spots and all that, and I was like some of it was like I didn't really realize it, but someone else pointed out, I'm like, oh really? And then I'll look at it, I'm like, oh, I'll start using this product or whatever.
Oh,
I
got one.
Go ahead, unless
what's
let's
that?
hear more, Ghost.
All right, yeah. One thing that I don't think it necessarily motivated me to change, but it's pretty funny. On the vein of the fake scenario, how Ace you tell Quessy's getting fat.
I don't know if I want to relive that just yet.
So I'm pretty obviously I'm not out of shape or I'm not fat, but I'm like the least in shape between us three. Maybe four if we want to include Wes, which is whatever. I mean, I do have to start working up more.
You never know he might be getting husband weight.
True, maybe, but I went to a restaurant the other day with my sisters, my siblings. So we finished up. Obviously, you know, after I ate, everyone has like a little belly after you eat. My sister walked up to me like, "Damn, you're getting fat!" It literally poked my stomach.
Oh gosh!
It's like, yeah, that's probably like
they basically did this thing.
Yeah, which I mean, I found it funny, specifically because like I'm still skinny, even though I had a little bit of a belly. It was more bloating, but still, that's I don't recommend doing that because it's pretty insensitive. Again, I didn't care, but that's kind of off topic. So I go ahead.
That's actually in the. I mean, I don't know if it motivated you. You said it happened recently, so I don't know if since then you've been to the gym or started running. But
yeah, honestly, a lot of stuff is like I'm just internally motivated on if I am or I'm not going to change. So that doesn't really impact it, with the exception of a certain specific things like
yeah,
the beard comment.
What you got, Ace?
Yeah. So when I was very young, I remember this was when I had braids when I was a kid. Somebody said I looked like a girl. Like
Oh my!
it was an adult too. It was
What?
an adult. It was an adult that was. I think they were talking to my mom, maybe. But yeah, that was rough. Like,
Did you like ask for a haircut or something like that, or you
I
just
don't
let it?
think I did. I don't think I did, but it really like made me question, like, I don't know, not who I was, but just like my masculinity. Like,
You were like a
so,
kid.
I know, but still, I mean, when you're a young boy, you think about, you still think about this stuff. So.
I'm happy you didn't get a cut. That makes me very sad and upset to hear that.
Yeah, that was rough.
That's crazy. Sorry about that. Yeah, for me, I don't think there's been too many things, actual like physical wise. Also, I grew up, or I participated in team sports, or not team sports, but wrestling and sports culture. So like getting yelled at for like you're looking sloppy, or like, hey, y'all need to lose weight. Like that was something that's something that's in my mind since I was young. So that never really. I mean, that was ingrained in me. One thing, and again, it's not really aesthetics per se, but one thing, if I can be transparent for a second, way back in the day, I don't remember what age we would have been at, but like, I'm pretty sure we were in Brockton, and we were maybe at a park, or we were doing something where we were running, and I feel as if I couldn't keep up. Like, y'all were ahead of me, and y'all were just going and going and going, and I just felt like I couldn't keep up. And when I started running on my own, I literally had like a vision of like y'all in front of me, and I'm like, oh, you see, I've only tried to be transparent.
Yo, that's crazy.
But all that to say, like, it wasn't even like y'all were like clowning me. Like, y'all probably didn't even notice in the grand scheme of things. But in my mind, I definitely use that to motivate myself to like stick with it. Because obviously, when you're running and when you're trying to get good at running, you're running for miles. Like, it's not easy. So
yeah, that is actually some anime shit. Like, you get tired, like, damn, I would have stopped. Then you get the flashback.
I'm hearing the Naruto, the Rock Lee.
Oh my god. I'm not saying all of that, but I will say, like, my brain was literally perceiving, like, I literally saw the shadows of y'all just in front of me, and I'm like, I can't, I'm not stopping.
That's
so
wild.
Yeah, it'll definitely use people to motivate me. I'll just say that. Yeah, obviously, even though this is somewhat of a serious topic, I'm glad we were able to find some humor and get some. I feel more. I literally definitely feel motivated to not get bigger because of the Ace, but not bigger, but like fat. But anyway, but obviously, yeah, you definitely have to have a good level of discretion depending on who you're talking to and how you're talking to them. Obviously, some people do subscribe into like bullying works, and obviously, there's really nothing you can do about that. I think to also online culture and people talking about each other is typically probably for better or for worse is not going to change. I think some people are so used to like not being able to, but just like getting their thoughts out online and not really thinking about the consequence of it just yet. Even though I feel as if it's been we've had like multiple incidents throughout the social media era of like people like getting harassed or feeling as they're harassed, and then they go off the deep end to some extent. But I think it's going to be a problem that we continually deal with. I think people should be more conscious of their comments. Yeah, I think we should all try to be more conscious of the form in our audience. But that's just for anybody who actually wants to improve and be a good moral character. But yeah, I guess 50-50. I don't know if it was in this comments section, but somebody somewhere said like, I mean, a lot of these comments are saying they did like his physique better before. But it was interesting. I think somebody somewhere said like, yeah, during the Super Bowl or during like that time, people were calling him big. But then once he lost weight, people were saying like he's looking kind of sick now. Like, is he all right? And saying those type of comments. And it's like you literally can't even win no matter what you do. But obviously, as long as
that's why it shouldn't be like listening to comments online. I don't think, or why people shouldn't be commenting on people they don't know, because
Yeah, you have people that like fat people just saying, "Oh, you look so good," when really you're obese.
Well, there's all going to be kind of fringe opinions, but yeah, you're right, Ace. You also have to like temper the type of comments and content that you consume.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing else. We can move on to the next topic. It's getting up there in time, but we got like 2 more. Try to genuinely pace it. All right, when we talk about we gotta get more into hip hop, even though this really isn't even about hip hop, relatively speaking. And this happened a while ago at this point, but I always feel it's at the perfect time to talk about it when no one else is talking about it. But y'all may or may not have heard about this. Cenat and Adin Ross go off on Joe Budden for bashing streamers. And I think it was Kai that said I could buy you. So I guess I'll read a bit about it so you can get the context. So Joe Budden recently went off, like he's typically doing, on somebody on streamers after Cenat gave his opinion after Killer Mike winning a Grammy for the best rap albums on Sunday. So this is around Grammy season. Salute to Killer Mike. He did such a phenomenal thing by getting that Grammy. I think he won a couple Grammys, but like getting a Grammy, and like, if you really appreciate hip hop, if you really appreciate like rap and how much of a dope rapper and type rap style that Killer Mike does, you were very much appreciative of how he was able to get that. But he was up against albums like a Travis Scott, Drake's, I think even Metro Boomin was on there. So he was up against people that like arguably are a bit more popular, and some people were surprised that he took the award, even though it's the Grammys. So it's like, who cares about the Grammys? But that's just a run time for him, to give you some context. In a clip surfacing on social media, Cenat shared that he felt Travis Scott's Utopia should have won Rap Album of the Year instead of Killer Mike, Michael. I don't know if y'all recall that or people recall that, but yeah, Kai streams a lot, and he, gives his opinion on, stuff going on. And obviously, while we appreciate Killer Mike here, not everyone's gonna know or even have listened to the Killer Mike's music. But everyone's heard of Travis, everyone's heard of Drake, everyone's heard of Metro Boomin. Just to give some examples. Scroll down. What we have is a case of old ninja syndrome, Kai said about Joe Budden. So this was after, which I guess now the first clip, you can go to the first clip. I think the first clip was actually Joe Budden, what he originally said after Kai said that, Cenat said that Travis should have won. So let's hear what Joe Budden originally said. No, not the first one, but the first one, yeah, when you in this thing.
Calm the fuck down. Everybody calm the fuck down.
Listen to young niggas.
I don't know who this is, okay? Hey, brother, God bless you. Congratulations. I don't know who you are. Positivity you. Praying for you, bro. Positivity out the window. Who decided this motherfucker? Who the fuck decided this motherfucker? Her loss? Utopia?
Yes, nigga.
Yeah, neither of those are better than
Michael. Over Utopia.
Metro Boomin!
Shut your ass up, nigga. Yo, y'all little streamer niggas don't always run shit. Shut the fuck up.
Some people don't give a fuck about your numbers.
Yeah, we don't care about none of that little streamy
mosh pit, marked card, whatever you niggas is doing over there.
And let's keep it a buck. Parks, you said it. Utopia was mid, yo.
Yeah.
You didn't deserve to win.
Listen to this guy.
Oh, we don't need to hear that again. Jesus. Audio warnings all up and down that. I'll obviously, if you're watching the live stream, you're going to get it loud as we got it, but I'll tone it down in an actual video. Anyway, so yeah, that actually gave context. That's what Kai said loudly, and that's what Joe said loudly. So, after that, Kai, who's gotten super big in the culture, especially recently, he responded to what Joe Budden said. So let's hear what the response was.
They talking about me, so let's talk about them. This is what we have here is a case of old nigga syndrome, my nigga. Listen to me. I'm a 22-year-old young adult who likes to sit in his room and naturally, like everybody else, react to music and things like that. Okay? If I think fucking Spider-Man should have won Superhero of the Year, but you think Green Lantern should have won, and Green Lantern wins, nigga, okay, it's your opinion. I'm not familiar with Killer Mike. I was just saying, I felt like Utopia and shit should have won. Bro, why did I feel like, I start talking about streaming niggas, bro. Stop doing that, bro. Like, we some little niggas, my nigga. I would buy you, my nigga. Do you understand that, bro? Do you understand that, my nigga? You say it don't come off as hating, but you always... They talking about...
This has nothing to do with nothing. I don't even like listen to me, but I recently kind of came to the conclusion that because I'm so against like yelling, I think I lost the ability to yell. like I my max volume, it really doesn't really eclipse. I really hope I'm never in a situation where I have to really yell. You know what's even weirder? And maybe I'm totally against. Don't listen to me, so it probably really shouldn't be too much response. I think I identified that the brother from Dune, I don't know, the lead guy, I think he's the same way. Like, I know there was like some parts where he, raised his voice. I recently watched Wonka, where he was the main guy too. And like, every scene where he has to like yell, I kind
of understand.
Maybe I'm putting this on a brother that doesn't deserve it, but I can tell that they had to do those scenes multiple times because the way he can't yell for long. I know he can't do that, and the way he does it, his voice like will go up, but it won't like stay at that level. It'll like spike, but not for long. There's nothing to do with nothing. All to say, audio levels are a bit higher. But anyway, this was Kai's response. I don't want to get too much into it until y'all get all the context, but I will say it's not the worst. It's not the best look when you say I'm not familiar with somebody that did better than the person that you think should win, because that just means the metric of why you deem, or a part of the metric of why you deem the person that you think should have won should win is because you are more familiar and because it's more popularity contest, which maybe you think the Grammys should, but I think some people would argue the Grammys are more about the quality. Anyway, and then Adin Ross jumped in as well, and he commented on Joe Budden's what he said about Kai and streamers, I guess, in theory.
Joe Budden, every single time that I see you or a clip of you, it's just on some hating shit, bro. I'm gonna be honest, bro. I don't know what you do. I can't even name one Joe Budden song respectfully. I know you used to rap. I'm gonna just be the honest as shit, bro. Like, you're one of these old heads that just hate. Why can't you be more like Rick Ross or Snoop Dogg, the OGs that are cool as fuck and just like respect and show flowers and appreciation towards all the young motherfuckers and shit? Yo, I ain't gonna lie, bro. You have no room to talk, no room to speak. You know what I'm saying? Lay your opinions about me and Kai to ourselves. Me and Kai are 10 times more richer than you and you will ever be, old man. And we're more humble than you and we're nicer than you. You're obviously a very salty old man. You have nothing going on for yourself. So you try to now hate on the young motherfuckers that are more successful than you. Listen, man, I know you're getting old and you got to pay your bills and shit because Social Security's coming up and your check's probably not going to be looking too good. So you got to make some money now, talk about streamers and shit. But Joe Budden,
got worse.
Nah.
Every clip was worse than the last one.
Oh, really? I don't want to say nothing, but and I really want to say my opinion. I really want to hear what y'all have to say, but it is always such a bad. I understand we all. I don't want to say we all do. I think I was very conscious even earlier. I understand to some degree all people at some point in time will make fun of old people or comment on an age thing, but first of all, age is a blessing, and second of all, everyone's gonna get old. It's not even. It's like the joke you really shouldn't make because it's applicable. It's gonna happen to you. But anyway, so as you can see throughout 16, it really became less about who should have rightfully quote unquote should have won the Grammys, and it became this literally age old back and forth about what older people like and perceive to be acceptable and what younger people like and deem to be acceptable. That's basically what I get from it. Just younger folks and older folks going back and forth with one another, and we're getting off base of what we were actually talking about. So, but I mean, I guess you could say it was entertaining, unless you don't like loud things like me. But anyway, what do y'all think of this? There's not really anything to deep dive wholly on. This has happened a while ago at this point, but it is this rears its head every now and then. A young artist or a young person will beef with a newer one. And again, it was really about music originally, or who should have won the Grammys. But then it turned into I mean, Joe Budden did point out some you young streamers don't really run things like you think you do. Kind of that was kind of an overall broad thing. That's so you could say he took it outside of just the original conversation originally. But either way, where do y'all land on the old versus the young generation type of dynamic in debate? Do y'all think one side does have more, not authority, but more of a correct point, or where do you side, or do you side on the matter? We'll start with the younger. What do you think, Ghost?
Man, honestly, all three of them kind of came off as clowns.
Damn.
Honestly, they all had.
Go over to the first part of it, Ace.
They all were equally valid or invalid in their own ways. And I don't know if the intent is more so just a general old versus young, or specifically related to this issue, but
more in general.
It's Joe Budden he's correct. His take was correct. The way he came across, and I think the way a lot of older people come across, for better or for worse, is kind of dismissive and I'm trying to think of a better word. Dismissive, I guess, is the best I can come up with right now.
Mm-hmm.
Of younger people in general, their takes, their status in society, blah blah blah. I'm not gonna get too deep into whether it's valid or not, but it's Kai Cenat's response is, I understand it, and the whole I can buy you thing is a little weird, but it's also valid because they're kind of
someone that has less money than you've never been talking to you, and you just thought for a second bro, if I wanted to, I could buy you.
Yeah, I get it. It's I usually stuff like that, money things in particular. It's I don't pay too much stock in, but they are kind of in the same entertainment. I don't want to say field, but
they literally do the same thing. Just because one person does more of a formatted podcast and one person does more of a free for all stream, they really have the same occupation.
So if you're doing the same thing and you're doing it better and you're that much richer, then you kind of got room to talk shit. But it's
what is the metric of doing it better? Is it purely the income you generate?
I mean, income, followers.
Oh, okay, yeah. Your general influence. Yeah.
I'm hesitant to say clout because Kai Cenat's literally the biggest streamer on the planet right now.
Yeah.
But his content is so grating to me because of the yelling.
Yeah, hold on. Let's not get into the specifics.
Yeah,
Although
yeah, so-
I guess do you put more of a significance on whether somebody's been doing it for longer or whether somebody's became the biggest?
I don't. For me, it's like I don't care either way. If I'm gonna listen to something or a podcast or a streamer, it just boils down to if they're good or not. But in an argument, if I was Kai Cenat, I would most certainly be bringing this up because I'm younger and I have more success in a shorter period of time than you have, and you had a head start. That's the way I would look at it.
Okay. So you would say like the becoming the bigger is more significant. Because one could say, and I don't perceive this for Kai, but I think a potential thing that some younger streamers could come across is the type of content they create is not necessarily sustainable. Like I don't know if a person doing what Kai Cenat is doing could do that 10 years, and 10 years later, and once you start having kids and once you start having a family, if that, like, your audience may not 1-to-1 scale with you as you get older. Joe Budden, on the other hand, he can do this podcast and shit for how in his format. He can do it till he dies. He's already kind of in the old man kind of grumpy caricature, so he can continue to do that like forever. So that's why I think somebody can make the case that like the fact that Joe Budden's already kind of established and he's been established for better half. I mean, I've been watching the Joe Budden podcast since I was in damn near high school. I think I think someone can make the argument that it's a significant thing.
Yeah, you're right, and it kind of just boils down to which side do you fall on. It's like sports debates. You could argue the GOAT in one era versus GOAT in another, and like it really doesn't matter. Like, to be honest, like they're both extremely like top 5 most successful podcasters. I don't know if I call Joe Budden top 5 entertainer, but they're both crazy popular, doing what they do well. Like I really don't care about the specifics, to be honest. Like I'm not trying to rank them.
Do you think older folks in general, and maybe I don't want to be too specific on this, but you think old folks in general and what Joe Budden was doing was hating? Do you think that is like a true stereotype that older folks would just tend to just hate for no reason?
I think they do tend to hate more relative to younger people, but a lot of the hate is valid, so I think it balances out. Like his goal wasn't to necessarily attack Kai Cenat, more so Kai Cenat's opinion, but the way he said it made it seem like he was.
What did he say again? You young streamers don't run shit.
Yeah, I guess maybe I can't cut him any slack. Like if I had to side with someone, it would be him, because Utopia was a very, very mid album, like unquestionably, in my opinion.
Yeah, we listened to that shit. It was the Kanye the Kanye
the Kanye ripoff.
Yeah.
But it's like he didn't have to necessarily make it about ice and that. But it's like
It's fine. You could be like just slightly on a side that you don't even really care about or to be on, because they're both kind of tweaking.
Yeah, it's just old people and young people both suck. So I'm like, I really.
Dang, not everybody sucks.
Okay, too much.
What about you, Ace, the older one here? Do you fall on any particular side here? Do you think old people be hating in general, and young people need to calm yourselves, or you think old people are the ones that need to be more accepting and young people need to be a bit more realistic? I don't know if that's the right word to put into it.
I mean, this is. I wish it was that easy or clear cut, like there was a one or the other. But this is truly a case where both both were wrong in pretty much the same way, just in terms of being
How would Joe Budden wrong?
but in terms of being dismissive about the streamers and their like almost like the relevance of their platform.
Yeah.
I think that's it's just where it went too far. It was like if we were just talking in terms of the music, then I think yes, you made a great point that um that dismissing Killer Mike's album because you're not familiar with it doesn't really make sense unless you think the Grammy should be a popularity contest. Like so from that standpoint, I think like a Joe Budden has and maybe the people he's with as well have more of a leg to stand on. But then to just attack the streamers because they expressed an opinion that you don't agree with, and you're attacking them as a group, it's just like you lost. Like you already lost, and then for them to come back and make it an old person, young person thing is like, well, yeah, that was to be expected because
Yeah, he did kind of start it.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So you side more with the youngers. Why don't you say it in your chest?
I guess if you, I mean, if
I'm just loading that on you. Sorry.
Yeah, if you're gonna say like, yeah, the older people should be more mature and not instigate the younger people, then sure. But
I mean, when we talk about we're not talking about late literal. I guess we could potentially be considering 22-year-olds as kids, but we're all still adults here. We should all be mature, right?
no.
What do you mean no?
No, I mean that don't necessarily mean they're gonna be. It'll be nice, but they're not gonna be. They're gonna be immature in a lot of ways. I mean, especially compared to an older generation. There's gonna be more immaturity. There's gonna be less life experience. There's gonna be like they're not gonna be as mature.
This is not the time and place to go back and forth about that. But isn't there like a base level of maturity that adults have to like fall under?
Sure. There's a base level. I'm just saying they're less mature.
Yes, which is why it's not nothing to argue because you're not saying they're not like you're not avoiding the responsibility of some level of maturity. No. So I mean, what do y'all think? Do y'all think these type of debates and like frictions are like doomed to continue forever, like old versus new, or do you think we can come to some type of not conclusion, but some type of like there's no need for these old versus young generation debates?
These will literally always continue forever.
Never gonna stop.
But the thing is, let's not be pessimistic here. Do y'all think y'all are ever, or maybe y'all are at a place where y'all look at one generation as inferior, like or one way or the other?
Inferior is kind of crazy.
I mean, that's what it boils down to, like, or typically more correct, or like has more like, I don't want to say relevancy, but like, is one like a more prominent side, quote unquote?
I mean, it's just when I say forever, I mean as long as the human race continues to exist.
But I'm saying I think and I don't want to say we were able to avoid this because I don't know what y'all full thoughts are, and also, I don't know what you would place like quote unquote around like 25 to 35-year-old. I don't know if you would say that's young or old. So that's why it's kind of hard to grasp. But I don't think I've ever heard y'all come out and say like old heads be tweaking or old heads be wilding, and I don't think I hear you. Well, I don't think I hear you guys talking about you all. We do kind of talk some shit about the freshmen, double XL.
Yeah, but even outside, I mean, it's not just us. Like we talk about as a whole. Do we think it's going to continue? Even if I've matured.
Well, if we can identify why we haven't, I'm loosely saying haven't, contributed to a back and forth. Maybe we can identify why like there doesn't need to be a back and forth.
Okay, so yeah, let's go down your train of thought here. What you're implying. Why?
Like,
would
correct me if I'm
my-
wrong, but I feel as if, like, for the better half of our lives, we've appreciated content and just the generation above us, or generations above us.
Definitely.
And I think now that we're older, we're not completely dismissive of generations and some of the output of the younger generation.
Definitely.
So it seems like we're not contributing to like this back and forth, forever generational curse of like this battle.
We aren't, but I feel like one way in particular where I'm different in terms of, like, I guess you could say, if we just look at the microcosm of music, one way I know I'm different is that I wasn't in a ever in an environment where the music of my quote unquote like my generation or my peers was something that I was like there was any type of peer pressure or anything like that, or even just like like group pressure for me to assimilate into. So there's less of I feel like there's just less of an attachment to my generation's music because of that. So I've listened to the previous generation, I've listened to my generation, I've listened to the younger generation, and I don't have any real attachment. It's just I'm just looking for the quality of the music. So like in that way, I think you can't necessarily duplicate my experience for the majority, because the majority of people don't really have that experience.
They do fall into some, maybe it's their group or their influence, where they are more inclined to kind of pick a side of of the genre or generation of music that they're consuming.
Yeah.
You know, and we're just talking about music because that's like they're talking about artists and things of that nature, but that can feed into a lot of other mediums.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't even think you necessarily want to duplicate my experience.
I mean, we don't want this continual back and forth about old heads and young heads, do we?
It might just be something that's like, truly just accept it as a condition of the human experience.
I don't know if I ever want that. I don't know if I mean, obviously, in the grand scheme of this thing, no, it doesn't matter. Nobody's getting hurt. Nobody really. It's not moving. It's not really moving the needle. But I mean, we don't want beef. It's unnecessary beef. Like you got homeboy screaming in the mic, like top of his lungs. We don't want, or not even homeboy. Both homeboys, because they're both very loud. That's the common denominator for both generations. Loud. What about you, Ghost? Do you think that you at any point felt either generation is like more superior, or do you think you again not contributed to like the beef or the divide?
Honestly, I think both generations, all generations, past, current, future, are all equally trash.
Damn.
I'm an equal opportunity hater, so I don't have any preference, or I'm not gonna put anyone on a pedestal. Like, there's a lot of shit that old people do that really annoys and pisses me off. There's a lot of shit that young people do that pisses me off. So I think it's pretty much equal, and there's always going to be a generational divide, generational gap. Like, when I'm older, I'm like, I don't know if I'd say I'm going to look down on the other generation. I'm just going to be a lot of stuff that I dislike, and it's not going to be really justified just because I dislike it personally. But I don't think there's going to be, I don't think there's really any superiority.
But it sounds like you're saying you're not going to typically attribute it to because it's not good because it's in this younger generation. You're going to attribute it because you just don't like the quality of it, and you would apply that to older stuff or older stuff.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there's going to be some stuff like there's plenty of new stuff now that And I'm like, that's stupid as shit. But there's plenty of old stuff too.
Even though it's a kind of a drag way to look at it, like kind of like somber. I think you might be on something. I think you got to be kind of just based and be like, no, it's not just the older generation or the younger generation that sucks. There's trash and everything.
Yep.
I think if you kind of balance yourself out like that, then you won't be finding it. You'll be less likely to. You all have need to shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You always hating, or the vice versa. Yeah, I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think it's. You're talking about. Sorry, it's not easy to replicate you, Ace. I don't think it's easy to replicate what Ghost got going on. Both people are gonna pick a side, or they're gonna die in the middle. So it's 21 Savage. Fair enough, I guess. 20 more years of beefing. I think that's the age gap between these individuals. Maybe Joe Biden's 50 at this point. Maybe it might be a 25-year-old gap.
He's gotta be 50. There's no way.
Well,
he's 43. Holy shit!
Look at you.
Never mind.
Putting age on people when they don't deserve it. Yeah, that's basically a 20-year gap. A lot can happen in 20 years. But if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next, I think the last topic. Now to round it out, again, nothing too serious.
What?
What? But very wild. If you haven't seen this interesting referral,
it's too late for this shit.
Have you ever fallen in love with a step family member?
Yo,
are you currently navigating a romantic relationship with your step sibling or step parent? Exit 4 has teamed up. I'm assuming Exit 4 is like the company. Exit 4 has teamed up with a major television network and searching for step family members in a committed relationship. Step siblings, step moms, step dads, or someone else in a relationship within this.
Wait.
Step family.
No.
Wait, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
But they specifically want relationships between a stepmother, stepfather, and the child? Wouldn't that be like that's automatically cheating, right? Like by default. So
first of all, well, technically it could be like a quote unquote ex step person, but
that's I guess
that's
I
interesting.
thought you were gonna say polyamory for a second. That would be absurd. But sorry, continue.
We want to profile real people to show what it takes to have a successful relationship. Having a successful relationship with your step anything is crazy. Now casting $300 referral. Yeah, $300. if you refer someone who fit the description in an interview for the show. I actually didn't. What are the other things over this? I actually didn't.
Desperate, dude.
What are the other? I didn't even.
These dating shows are desperate.
If you know someone who has a compelling story interesting in sharing, please email casting whatever referral, and then you get $300. You do a Zoom. This one's getting a little. I don't know what's going on here. Is your sibling your biological sibling? Did you grow up?
This ain't real, man.
No, it is real, but
this part is your sibling your biological child?
This is insane.
It's getting. This one's getting a little weird. I don't like. I don't like this. I don't like. Go get
like a Tyler Perry movie with this freaking plot. I don't even want to think about how you end up with the sibling daughter. I don't want that. Anyway, I say all that to say, and this absurdity. Maybe this is just like the what the F headline of the week. Yeah, I mean, what do you even think when you first see something like this? What are we supposed to take away from this? That's what's.
Well, I'm just gonna ask. Is anything that's not too philosophical? It's nothing to go crazy about. But or maybe it is something to go crazy about. Maybe you want to stop this. Do y'all think that reality TV is going too far for the stories that they're trying to show, or conversely, do you think that? While this is the most insane thing you might have ever read for a reality TV show, do you think it is important for TV to be authentic, to be super real, and showcase, expose, and broadcast the type of stories that people go through. What do you think, Ace?
Good framing. Good framing.
Sorry.
Like,
Should these stories be told?
he got you.
Given
This
that,
is so funny. How the hell is this like a legit question and topic? It's framed pretty reasonably.
That's what we're here to do. We're here to take the
This is really
unfathomable.
enriching everyone who's watching this podcast, I'm sure.
Hey man, we're here to talk. I mean, it's broader than. If I'm gonna be serious with it, it's way broader than this stupid ass referral. It is about like the fact that I don't know if y'all consume reality TV show in any recent times, but sometimes you'll be watching something that are just like, why are these people even participating? Like even, I mean, there's always been kind of wild when they had like cheaters. Like, why would you go on a show to broadcast the fact that you think your partner is committing infidelity or some other relationship? I'm sure even like at one point in time, I'll be transparent. I love 90 Day Fiance and its adjacent spinoffs. I think there's probably even a point in time where somebody was looking at like, why would people that are in a K1 visa relationship going on TV and showcasing what they're going through? So I think it's kind of interesting. Like, is there a too far when? And obviously we know there is a quote unquote too far. But do you think something like this and think maybe in this realm are too far, or do you think
How far is too far?
or do you think for all intents and purposes, if people have stories to share, then they should be broadcasted?
Okay, I like generally my thoughts on reality TV are that it is an pretty much an absolute waste of time and like a rot of your brain.
We just gotta find a reality TV show that you really like. That's all that says to
No,
me.
no. I liked 90 Day Fiance, but like it's kind of crazy how you can just keep watching it and it just becomes this mindless thing you do, and almost like out of habit, and like
To be fair,
it's
when
like
I
what
when I
is
watch
the actual?
to be fair, when I watch the 90 Day Fiance in reality TV, I'd be dissecting the hell out of that. I'd be like, oh, so this is what happens when you bring somebody over from this country and you have to integrate them with your family, but your family doesn't like them. So what do? Sorry, that's just me.
I mean, yeah, but it's like it's kind of goofy. A lot of it feels staged. It's just
Facts.
it's not, yeah, and that's probably the thing. Like it's not really reality.
So would it be better if it was reality? I'm sure.
That's
I'm
what I'm
sure.
thinking. Like now,
They said they want real people with real relationships.
that's what I'm. That's where I'm struggling. Is that I, at the same time that I kind of have this immense disdain for quote unquote reality TV, which is not reality, I do or I do think there's a value in like documentaries, for example. Um,
You'd watch the step sibling documentary.
that's where I don't know if there's any value in it though. But what do I? The question I have for myself is, where do I draw the line, or do, like start to define something as valuable? Because there are like there's stuff that there's documentaries and stuff that I've um watched that I'm sure inherently didn't change anything or add value to my life in any real meaningful way. So for me to judge something like a actual uh like genuine reality story like this compared to something that I enjoyed that really didn't add any actual value to my life or whatever.
Entertainment's not
I don't
value.
know how. I guess entertainment for entertainment's sake can be considered valuable, but I don't know. Either way, my problem is I don't I don't know how I would inherently just write this off.
Hmm. So you're saying it might serve some purpose, even if it's so outlandish.
Yeah, but I guess the one thing I can say is at the same time, it would have to be done in a way where it's like, this isn't just some frivolous topic that you just bandy about like like it's completely meaningless. Like they're talking about stepmoms and stepdad, like that type of stuff. You're talking about grooming and like potential child.
Well, I'm pretty sure they have a probably. Well, it's probably one of the clauses in the thing. Everyone has to be of like.
No, I'm not even saying that. It's that like when they come on the show they would be of too young or whatever. I'm saying the way that type of stuff starts is could be considered grooming and whatever else. Like you don't that you're getting into some very
it's pushing. Yeah, the circumstances around some of these relationships could fall into some situations that yeah.
Exactly. When you start talking about youth, like, I mean, not even in specifically, but these are when it's family members, you're inherently starting to imply youth, and that is where it just.
No, you're not necessarily, because like step-siblings doesn't imply like y'all are.
It does to me. I mean, I guess your parent could marry
if you're a grown ass adult and your parent remarries, you have you have a step person. They can have a grown ass adult too.
Yeah. So it's not inherent, but at the same time, it is much. I would say, in my mind, it would be much more common for it to be something that starts when you're like a relationship that starts
when people are younger.
Yeah,
I know. I'm saying that, but I do believe that when most people, or a lot of people hear that is probably where their mind goes, especially when it comes to the step-parent relationships, depending on like how long people have been in each other's lives. Yeah, which again, maybe you could say like, if some of these things were brought to light, then maybe we could like start to reel it in. But
true.
But I just.
But the
way you don't have to do that in front of T. You don't have to do. Yeah, you have to. Yeah. Hey, maybe they can get somebody like you to host the show. I'm sure you could. You could.
I am not qualified.
You could clean this up.
I'm not qualified.
Clean this shit right up. Yeah. I guess I know you're ready to dismiss this out the park, Ghost. But what do you make of this? Are you not here for real stories, real people, real situations? What do you want? You want TV to be all like scripted? Sorry, I don't know why I'm framing like that. What do you think?
All right. To tone down the hating, my end. I think there is a place for reality TV. I wouldn't call it healthy. I think the real point of reality TV and where it can have some good is that it's obviously entertainment. It's obviously like pretty trashy, but you watch it, you look at it, you be like, damn, look at these crazy people. Glad I'm not like that. Or damn, look at these people. I hope I never become that. And it gives you an ideal of what not to be like or what not to do.
Y'all ever see that show Hoarders? Holy moly.
Yeah, like when I see stuff like that, when I see what's our boy's name? Timmy? Timmy? No.
Skippy?
Tippy. Yeah.
Skippy.
Skippy, yeah.
I don't know if he had his own show or if he was on a show. What show was he on? Sorry.
I don't know if he was I don't know if it was an actual show, but it like that he owned or whatever. But either way, you see that, you be like, damn, I hope I'm not like that. And like we were talking about earlier with the the bullying works. Well, this isn't exactly bullying, but it's like I could be like this one day, and you try to better yourself so you're not. So I think there is some good in reality TV, but stuff like this, like there's a line that you can't cross. So this just comes off as like super inappropriate, fetishy, like Ace is saying, like the locations of grooming, like we don't need to be seeing this. Like it's like what's the, okay? They're doing this. What's to stop them from going all the way and saying, "Oh, full incest"? Like,
hey, yo,
it's too much. I didn't start this shit. They started it, not me.
So you're saying there's a threshold at some point we gotta like reel it in or else you get too crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, man. Like we live in America. Don't y'all believe that everybody should be able to? Well, not everybody, but like people should be able to express their story, their real lives.
How? They can express it, but I don't want to see that shit.
Well, no one's here. No one's nowhere in any of this. We're saying, do you have to consume it? But I mean, should it be allowed on TV? Yeah, it sucks, but you are gonna right. It's like some of this, and I think a lot of people inherently, when they look at it, they do think, like what are the ages of these people? Like, how do these relationships start? I think for research purposes, I might tune in if they actually end up making the show. But, yeah, I mean, I definitely, when I saw this, I was inherently a bit surprised, but then I instantly like took a step back and I'm like, well, I mean, I feel as if, and this is something, sometimes when I even watch when I even like, I don't necessarily watch a whole bunch of reality TV shows, but when I see reality TV shows in general, I feel as if they always have to like, try to like do the next thing extreme. Like, you know, they have like shows about like kind of on the similar vein of the Skippy or whatever, you know, people get into relationships that are like have never been in a real relationship and they're like 4 years old. Like those people navigating relationships. Then you get to like people who are like 600 pounds trying to get into a relationship, and you just kind of keep on like pushing the boundaries of what would be like entertaining. Because I think fundamentally, or not fundamentally, but the crazy thing is, even though we're looking at this like, what the hell? I think this is the type of show that would have massive amount of viewership, unless they were doing some like weird shit on there, and then they would get a lot of backlash for it. So I guess it's like you were saying, it depends on how they actually go about it.
Yeah.
And going based off this, I mean, maybe this is just like typical of how you go about referrals and casting, but this doesn't seem like they're going to like have like a registered therapist or psychologist on standby to help people navigate through things. This seems like they about to just have cameras in people's faces, like inside people's homes, all up in their business. Like, yeah. So how did you start off with this relationship? You know, something about my stepson just I couldn't keep my eyes off him.
I want to be clear too. Like the step parent thing is just inherently wrong. Like I don't think there's any way you could spin that to be.
Even if they're grown ass people.
No, because the person was with your parent.
No.
Oh wow! I don't want to get into this, but you can't be with somebody's with your parent.
No.
Even if it wasn't because of that, if at some point, no matter how short it was, they were in a semi-parental role to you because they were in relationship with your parent by default.
Maybe I shouldn't have brought this
up.
topic.
Automatically makes it a no. Can't happen. Can't do it ever.
Well, this is late night, so nobody will ever hear this. Let's go. Oh, why is that per se? Or is that just y'all gut reaction to
which one?
What Ghost said? Why can't you be with somebody that's been with your parents?
Come on, dog. That's like being with somebody that's been with your brother, or that's just that's.
Why can't you be with somebody that's been with your brother?
That's disgusting to me. That's disgusting to me.
So that's so that's a whoa holy. We don't have to. First of all, hold on. Let's. I know where our brains are going, but let's still be friendly here. But so you're saying this is like a personal thing, or would you like if somebody came to you like, hey, I'm kind of attracted to this girl that's been with my brother, you'd be like, I don't know about that. You slow down on that.
Wait, what say it again?
Are you saying this is a more personal thing, like you specifically, or do you think that people in general probably should try not to interact with people that's been with people that are close to them in their family or whatever the case?
I guess
Because
it
I
is
mean,
personal. I guess it is.
Isn't there like a scripture about?
There is a scripture about this stuff.
We've talked about that, and we don't got to get into that because I don't know if any of us wholesale subscribe to that.
Yeah.
Not to say that was wrong for that time, but whatever the case may be. Sorry.
Yeah, about the step parent for sure. But yeah, I guess you could say it's personal.
Okay. And do you agree, Ghost? I really want to shrug this really lightly, or not at all.
No, I don't agree. I fully endorse it. No,
I'm just saying, like, is it I think we all, to some degree, feel this to be true. Like, no, you don't interact with somebody that's been with somebody in your family. But I'm just curious to know if this is like you agree with this, or do you think people should, in general?
All right, so I guess there's multiple levels to it. On the first level, if it's a long-term relationship, no matter the levels that they got to, I'm not.
What's long term?
I don't know. I'm not trying to put a specific length on it. I guess the seriousness is really what matters. I should specify. So it's not even about just the logistics of if they've actually slept together, but just like in general, if you or if a family member was close to this person, and I'm not going to say what full-on marriage, but again, they were super close to them, didn't end well, just off the principle. Here we go, the principle.
Okay, now we're getting something, yeah. Because if they ended a relationship and they probably had some type of falling out, okay.
Yeah, it's even if there wasn't a falling, just it's kind of a thing where there's not really like a valid explanation or reason for it, because in theory it's like the relationship's over, so you shouldn't have to deal with it again, but it's just wrong.
Oh, and you are keeping that person in your life, in that person's life, actually.
Yeah, that's another thing. So that's one aspect of it. If it's like a short-term fling, like I don't know, like a blind date or something, and they didn't hit it off, I think that's different. I'm still not going to full-on endorse it, but if this person is the one,
the one,
yeah, if you really find a connection with them, I think it should come with you should definitely let the other person, the previous family member, know.
I mean, they're gonna find out eventually.
Yeah, but don't make it a surprise. Invite them to the family reunion. Oh, what are you doing here? Still shaky territory, but it's still more valid than if they were actually in a relationship. And like, if it's a parental thing, like if it's someone your parents been with, that's kind of like the cutoff. Like you can't do it. You just can't.
You guys keep saying you can, but no logical justification for why you shouldn't. Outside of this, like,
you don't
morality thing.
It's not even morality. Like, the fact that when I start to say it, you guys flip out, kind of shows that it's not just a me thing.
Well, I could flip out. People will flip out like about 1,000,001 things. That doesn't mean it's like an in general like rule or something people should like adhere to.
Yeah, it's if I was gonna put an actual explanation on it, it's like if you're with someone, if you get with someone, they could theoretically, or I'm hoping that they would be your friend in some capacity. They're your peer. If you're getting with someone that was previously with your parents, a step parent, or especially like that's not your peer. That's literally I don't want to say an authority figure, but
I mean, not if you were a grown-ass person at the time.
At the time of
when they were with your parents, because they wouldn't be an authority figure. They would just be the person that your parents with. Not just.
I don't know. By default, I feel like if a parental figure is an authority figure,
I don't think so. I don't.
Some aspects.
I don't.
I mean, I'm sure you don't think of every person that's. I don't want to get into us, but I'm sure you wouldn't think of somebody like. You think of your mom and your dad as your mom and dad, or maybe you're like that's your quote unquote authoritative figures. You don't think of anyone else like, just because they have some kind of relationship with your dad.
Well, if they had a relationship and again, I don't know, like it might not have been that far along, but at some point, like if you dad's like, oh, this is XX, I've been seeing them. Like, there's gonna be, you're not gonna look at them, excuse me, as your mother, but it's kind of like it's your
and to be clear, if that's
partner,
if that's what you think, I'm not going to try to stop. I'm not going to try to block that. I'll speak for myself personally. If my mother ends up with somebody, I'm obviously going to give that brother all the respect in the world, but I'm not going to look at him as he is an authoritative figure to me. I really don't have any authoritative figures in my life.
I do agree with that.
But but that's a whole other how I view people. But yeah. Obviously, but you're largely right, Ace. This is a thing that most people are like. I'm trying to make it seem like it's there are some people that would be cool with it. Most people would be like, they would feel naturally opposed to it. So yeah, you know what's interesting? You don't have to go back to that last slide, but it's how you get to that scenario, and this would make it wholly weird. If your parent has a child with your step parent, and then you try to end up with that step parent.
What are these scenarios you're cooking up, bro?
And then you got a brother's father or something like that.
This ain't it, bro. This ain't it.
Sorry, we'll wrap it up. The moral of the story is, yeah, bro, it's some weird shit that you see on TV these days, and because we are a human society and we like to progress and keep pushing the needle, you're gonna keep seeing some weird stuff. So at least if you consume this, then you won't be surprised when you see something weird on TV.
Getting into the old boy plot over here.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Jesus, that's crazy. That's a reference. Anyway, if there's nothing else, and I'm positive there is nothing else, we can wrap it up. All right, let me go back here for a second. Yo, this thing is wild. So why did I pick this for this day?
Why did you?
It was just random. We talked about relationships and kids, and now it just seems wrong.
I feel like this episode in general has been a little more unhinged.
That's what I'm saying. All right. So let's hinge it up, make it more hinged, and let's conclude this on a nice, soft note. As well, I like to at the end of these podcasts, what, if anything, are we looking forward to?
I got one. There's this game coming out, I hope sometime this year, called Stellar Blade. It's looking like it's gonna be the substitute for Bayonetta for me this year.
Hold on. Okay,
I wish I could play some gameplay or show some gameplay, but it's kind of like a character action vein in the game in the vein of, again, Bayonetta or like Devil May Cry. It looks like it's going to be very difficult, but also very rewarding to master. The thing I say about these types of games is like when you play them, you feel like you're controlling an anime character, and like everything that happens is just awesome. Like it looks awesome on the screen, and yeah, the more difficult it is, the more you feel like you're actually doing something. So I love these types of games, and yeah, this one looks like it's shaping up to be good. So
do you? And I'm just looking at this, so I don't know if I have room to like critique or anything, but it does look like a Bayonetta type character. Do you think you'll continue to be receptive to those type of games? I think when I think of like clones of games, I think of like how there was a big what's the word I'm looking for? Offshoot of like Dark Souls clones, and like some of those were like some to the level of Dark Souls. Some of those were just kind of like carbon copies, and it just felt kind of pointless to even play that when you just play the original. Do you think that from what you've seen of this, it is authentic enough in its own right to capture you, or are you really just, as long as it's in that style, you play it?
I probably think about how much of a clone the game feel or looks like or feels or will potentially feel like. It might be something I consider, but not to the extent that you might imagine. Like, and maybe it's just because the enjoyment I get out of these types of games, again, it's like if the games are still, even if the combat feels very similar, if the visuals are different, if the the combo system still feels, I don't know, good to interact with,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still gonna get a good level of enjoyment out of it. The easiest thing to compare it to for me would probably be like fighting games where you have these 2D, like 2D anime fighters and things like that, where they can, like, if you just look at them from the outside, they don't necessarily look like they're gonna feel all that different to play. But when you play them and when you interact with like the tiny minute details and differences, and how a certain game will balance certain things, or a small mechanic that will be introduced, when you play these games at a high level, it still feels like, it can still feel like, wow, this one thing they tweaked really changes how I interact with this game. So I mean, as long as they're not trying to be a direct clone, I think it's good. Like, it's just a reskin, but
Mm-hmm.
but um but yeah, it doesn't play too much into my expectations, but I guess it is there somewhat.
Gotcha. Okay, dope. I guess I'll copy you. We might have mentioned before. I actually had another thing, but it's not happening for a couple month, maybe even a month or two. So I can save that for next week, whatever the case. I think the Dragon Ball Z game, Rest in Power, to Homeboy got a release date. Pull it up, I guess, while you're up here. Sparking, what's it called? Sparking
Zero.
Yeah, and I think it might be hella cross platform.
Oh wow. I need something better than this.
What the Ganimard link is that?
That's a Google link.
Go up. Where you going?
Oh, maybe this is good enough.
Well, I just need a release date. I think I saw people reacting to the trailer. Maybe they just, it says to be determined. Wait, is that they put the date?
Yeah, TBD, maybe.
Oh, okay, but you can still put it in your wish list. Why do these devs be doing this? Anyway, they put, even if there's no release date yet, they put out not really good, but they put out and they put out some of the characters. But I mean, if it's a Budokai Tenkaichi game, it's gonna have every character. It should have. But they put out a gameplay trailer. They put out gameplay of it, and it's hype. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think it's gonna be hella cross-platform. The only thing, it might not be on Switch, or I might have to get something to play it. But yeah, if and when it does come out, and if it's on enough platforms, that'll be one of the games where we do a B1 B-Phil Let's Play.
Oh, that would be a good one.
So yeah, that's me. What do you got if anything goes?
A few concerts coming up. Looking forward to. Hiatus Coyote actually very recently announced some more tour dates in the U.S. One in Boston, which is hype. So looking forward to that.
Nice. I I would say I don't want to say trash, but they were never for me. Even when Wes tried to put me on and put it, I'll tell the story because this can't even happen nowadays. But back in the day when you had to kind of rely on your homeboys to get music, like I'm fake old, so it wasn't always just there was before streaming services. So I asked him to put a bunch of albums on my phone or whatever the case may be. It might have even been an MP3 player. And he put that damn Hiatus Coyote project on my thing. And it was I got the same feeling of when like Apple just put the U2 album on their phones. I'm like, who is this? Why is it on my phone? Like, I didn't want that shit. But after some years, I did find one record that I like. I feel as if it was like it felt like a beat that Chance would have rapped on at the time, and I really liked it. I gotta find what that song was. But anyway, sorry, so that's a whole tangent. But okay. And let me close this out and go here. Dice. Anyway, there's been a lot of discussion tonight. A lot of videos come out of that, which I'm gonna continue to try to do those edits and get them out as soon as possible. But in the interim, dope podcast as usual. And we hoped that by watching or consuming our content that you might have gained a perspective or you might have learned something new. I really want to make a comment about that last topic in particular, but I'll reserve myself. What you might have learned is if you took Ozempic, you need to go see a medical specialist ASAP. Or we just hope that you find this entertaining. But if none of that happened for you, then all we can say to you is be warned and be filled. Thank you. Stop recording and stop streaming. Let's get this